Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Summoner of the Undead. Skills upgrade once every second. Chapter 61. What is this? Father, aren't you a summoner of the undead? When will a summoner of the undead be able to summon tentacles? Shouldn't it be the bones of the tentacles? You are stupid, meow. How can you have bones in your tentacles? Ah, no. Once alive, second time ripe. At the beginning of the battle, Lu Yong and others set up the barbecue stall again. The middle-aged uncle's son Yunlong may have been bowed down by life, and his whole body revealed the sadness of a middle-aged man. He turned a blind eye to the holy royal family attacking the village outside, and concentrated on his barbecue so that Qinzi could eat comfortably. According to his words, everyone lives by counting the days. As for the villagers in the poisonous fog village, they were already frightened to the point of being unresponsive. Xiao Chongchong was addicted to eating, and ran over. She didn't care whether the holy royal family outside could hold on, anyway, she had to eat to her heart's content first. However, the rows of forbidden touches surrounding the village, with their 10-meter-tall bodies, still look very safe. How do you deal with my 100 taboo touches? On the other side, the holy royal family had already been completely defeated by the heads hung on wooden stakes. How could the noble holy royal family allow such insulting things to happen? But the square defense composed of 20 forbidden touches made it impossible for them to get close. The sin is unpardonable. The holy royal family riding a blood-red reptile slowly walked out angrily. The golden lines on his forehead that looked like wings began to glow and became stronger and stronger. Qinzi suddenly became interested. He seems to want to explode. It seems like my kills were not in vain. I directly forced the opponent's ultimate move to come out. Captain of the Sanction Team of the Holy Royal Family. Nightmare Elite Monster. Level. LV.20. HP. 175,000. Attributes. Strength 2731, Speed 2061, Intelligence 2289. Skill 1. Transformation Stage 1. Through various cruel experiments, and finally combined with specially cultivated ancient diseases, the Holy Royal Family can promote the transformation of tribesmen under certain conditions. Each transformation will gain powerful power. After 3 transformations, they will be promoted to more advanced and perfect life forms not yet success. The captain of the Sanction Team is still in the first stage of transformation, with Strength plus 700, Agility plus 500, and Sacred Energy running accelerated by 50%. In extreme emotions, there is a very small probability of triggering sacred cells, temporarily gaining huge amounts of power, and dying after the state disappears. Skill 2. Energy Beam. The leader of the Sanctions team can condense energy through the sacred crystal between the eyebrows and emit high-energy blazing light. The effective attack distance is within 300 meters. The damage decreases as the distance increases, and can cause continuous scorching damage of 3,000 approximately 15,000 points. After releasing it once, the Sanctions team the captain will fall into a state of exhaustion and weakness. Skill 3. Holy Light Descends. The leader of the Sanctions team temporarily activates the sacred cells in the body through secret methods, increasing the strength by an additional 700, the agility by an additional 500, the number of energy beam releases increased to 3/3 times, and the 3 auxiliary abilities of Holy Strike, Holy Transfer, and Holy Shield are activated. The state lasts for 10 minutes, and sacred energy cannot be used for 3 days after it is lifted. Skill 4. Sanctioning Team Flag. The Sanction Team of the Holy Royal Family can share, convert, output and input sacred energy, and can achieve resonance frequency, tacit cooperation plus 200%, strength attribute increased by 20%, agility attribute increased by 20%, defense increased by 20%, and information can be quickly shared. Introduction. Where does the road to divine transformation lead? Ahem, cough, cough, the path to divine transformation, what the Holy Royal Family wants is too big. If the urine properties of the Black Abyss dungeon are followed, professionals may be able to transfer to the sacred transformation path of the Holy Royal Family. In this way, it is a rare and special profession, but no one can say whether there will be a good result in the end. The job transfer at level 25 is very important. The path to divine transformation may attract many professionals. In other words, Li's company has already started researching it. Qinzi suddenly felt a chill down his spine. The negative impact of the Black Abyss copy on reality is almost devastating. At the same time, wing-like golden lines lit up on the forehead of the captain of the sanctions team. Both the strength and agility attributes are rising steadily. There is a feeling of divine energy overflowing. His glowing golden eyes were fixed on the head stuck on the stake, and then he rushed over on the blood-red unicorn beast. The Holy Royal Family, their heads are really made of iron. Perhaps, this is a point that can be exploited by creating an item that insults the Holy Royal Family, which brings unlimited ridicule. Buzz, the taboo touch naturally didn't tolerate him, so he just hit him on the head with a fierce slash. The diamond-shaped crystal on the head of the sanctions team leader also lit up with blazing light, and then released a high-energy ray as thick as a finger, hitting the forbidden touch. The mouth on the surface of forbidden touch opens, and then it swallows high-energy rays inside. What is very strange is that the forbidden touch does not have a value for reducing blood volume. Instead, the roots of the forbidden touch are linked deeper into the unknown space, and strings of golden characters appear. Plus 7,500, the Lord of Taboo expressed his satisfaction. Plus 7,500, the Lord of Taboo expressed his satisfaction. What's going on? Chin Zi was shocked. He originally planned to sacrifice one taboo touch, and then hit the second one immediately. As a result, the forbidden touch will directly eat the sacred energy beam. It is obvious where the blood food eaten by the big mouth of the tentacles ultimately leads. This is equivalent to a sacrifice. Oh, this is impossible. My blazing beam can even penetrate the obsidian shield. How could it be eaten? What on earth is this? Ah! The captain of the sanctions team shouted in disbelief. His mentality finally collapsed. However, in the face of the forbidden touch and the terrifying fangs that opened, he was not ambiguous at all. He raised his right arm, and the sacred energy began to spread and interweave along the round shield, quickly building into a thick, wide of the divine shield. Bang! The forbidden touch suddenly hit the sacred shield, actually making him guard it. The sharp teeth on the forbidden touch began to gnaw at the sacred shield. This time it was much stronger. After the sharp teeth bit into it, they could only leave a few fang marks. If you want to completely gnaw it away, I am afraid it will take a long time. A lot of time. The captain of the sanctions team also felt uncomfortable. His body was arched and he was pressing the sacred shield with his shoulders. The blood-red unicorn beast under the seat was even pressed to the ground. What are you still looking at? Come here and help. When the captain of the sanctions team saw the stunned members still far away, he immediately gritted his teeth and cursed angrily. But soon, he desperately discovered that the outsider was moving faster than him. What the other party said made him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. The test is over, it's time to end this. Sanction team leader. Any trump cards? Forbidden touch surrounds the village like a tower defense. The body that is 10 meters high is raised and lowered, and every time it hits the Holy Royal Family, they will be knocked off their feet. The only drawback is that the attack frequency is too slow, and 2.5 seconds have passed before it falls and is lifted up again. Other tentacles need to make up for the vacancy, so that the Holy Royal Family will not rush in. As long as the Holy Royal Family is suppressed by the tentacles, they are basically cold. Seeing that something was wrong, some of the Holy Royal Family did not dare to rush in. Instead, they took out their crossbow arrows and shot at the forbidden touch. Every time, they shot into the sharp mouths all over the surface of the tentacle, and then they chewed it up and swallowed it. This thing is wider than Ghoulnex's recipe. Congratulations, you killed a member of the Holy Royal Family's judgment team and gained experience, 3,000. Congratulations, you killed a member of the Holy Royal Family's judgment team and gained experience, 3,000. Congratulations, you killed a unicorn beast and gained experience, 700. As the kill prompts continued to sound, the experience points skyrocketed as if they had eaten gunpowder. The experience provided by the judgment team is really great. With 3,000 experience points, it is unique among all nightmare dungeons. Moreover, there are still many Holy Royal clans, which are all in vain. Congratulations, you have upgraded to LV.18, all attributes +1, free attributes +4, HP +400, mana +100. All free attributes are focused on intelligence. At the same time, the upper limit of attributes of all summoned objects is further unlocked. Already summoned summons remain unchanged. The battle goes as quickly as it comes. The holy royal family that attacked the flanks and rear of the Poison Mist village disappeared without a sound, and 80% of them were already dead. The only remaining members of the holy royal family that still possess certain combat capabilities are the captain of the ruling team at the entrance of the village and a number of subordinates led by him. The captain of the judgment team had a golden wing-like pattern on his forehead, and his whole arm was supporting the sacred shield. He was struggling with the forbidden touch that came down. He was really a little scared now, so he quickly shouted behind him. "Quick, why are you still standing there? Come here and help me." His subordinate team members were a little hesitant. After all, even the captain couldn't bear it. What could they do in the past? To die. This is an order. Anyone who disobeys the order will be sent to the castle. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the subordinate team members instantly became frightened. Compared with the taboo touch, they are more afraid of being sent to the castle, which is not a place for people. As a result, the sacred rhombus between their eyebrows began to glow. While passing it to the captain, he walked forward, then grabbed the spear with both hands and stabbed the taboo touch, pressing down on the captain. Bang kai, juice splashes. Minus 3,897. Minus 3,902. Minus 3,919. A series of damage values appeared, instantly inspiring the members of the judgment team. There's drama. The forbidden touch was painful, trembling and shaking, and the captain of the ruling team was freed. The team members had triumphant smiles on their faces. Forbidden touch is not invincible, it can be killed. The next second, the captain of the ruling team directly threw down the blood-red unicorn beast under him, spread his legs, turned around and ran away without any ambiguity. Golden threads of light emerged from both sides of the feet and intertwined in the air, forming a simple wing pattern. He ran as fast as he could, even using divine energy. This made the members of the ruling team who came to rescue him look stupid. They stood there blankly, a little at a loss. "Ha ha ha, I'm laughing so hard." Liu Yong raised his head and laughed. "The holy royal family are so hypocritical, meow." Catwoman couldn't help complaining. The name is so high-sounding, but the way he works is so despicable. His subordinates came to rescue him, but after he was successfully rescued, he left them alone and ran away. Just like some of Jalan's leaders, I really want to scratch them to death. I just want to know now, is this tentacle serious? Mu Shui also joined the group of complaints, but the focus was a bit strange. "Mu Shui, something is wrong with you." "No, I didn't." At this time, Qinzi suddenly spoke, instantly attracting everyone's attention. To put it harshly, the holy royal family bullies the weak and avoids the strong. Seeing that the Bobo people have no ability to resist, they bully them and even try to squeeze out the last bit of value. But when they encounter hard problems, they give up and even lose their will to fight. I can't mention it, but my self-esteem is too strong. To put it nicely, he is a master at torturing vegetables. After hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. At this time, Mu Shui asked curiously, "The captain of the sanction team has escaped the tentacle attack range, are you just going to let him escape?" "Mu Shui, you really like tentacles. Go, don't talk nonsense." Mu Shui's cold cheeks were unusually red to the base of her ears. "Of course we can't let him run away. The captain of the ruling team has the most experience. But, how to do this?" When everyone saw Qinzi's unhurried look, they were immediately filled with curiosity. The captain of the judgment team ran away too fast, as if he was flying at low altitude. How to catch the opponent now that he has almost disappeared from sight? Qinzi didn't hide it and shouted directly, "Dark Ranger." "My lord." The Dark Ranger with a good figure and a hood, holding a long bow, knelt down on one knee. Yellow Quan's right hand. The world changes in Qinzi's eyes, and he can directly see and control his soul. A group of green soul floats on Huang Quan's right hand. Lost and reborn, activate. Qinzi picked up the soul and slapped it on the Dark Ranger's chest. Soul consumption. 1 point, Huang Quan soul capacity, 44/50,000. Death Raider, trigger. Strength attribute +5 random, health mana recovery 1000. As the soul is injected into the chest of the Dark Ranger, she raised her head suddenly, her ruby-like eyes shining brightly. Surging power surged within her body, and 5 flames ignited in front of the long bow in her hand. Soul fire. 5/5, the next time you shoot, the range is plus 100 kilometers, the damage is plus 50,000, penetrates everything, and can have piercing properties. After hitting the enemy, it ignites the soul, causing 3000 soul burning damage per second. At the same time comes with negative effects such as pain, confinement, and disability. The Dark Ranger's blood-red eyes looked towards the direction in which the leader of the Sanctions team was escaping, then he pointed the longbow at the sky, slowly pulled the bowstring, and a jumping soul fire was extinguished and melted into the arrow of the Dark Ranger. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. When the charged cloud-penetrating arrow reached its peak, the entire arrow suddenly ignited with green fire. This is a flame that is disgusting to all living things, directly burning the soul. The Dark Ranger loosened his bowstring, and the arrows burning with green fire disappeared into the sky instantly. After a few seconds, terrifying damage values appeared. Minus 80,000, soul ignition, crippling blow. Minus 5,000, minus 5,000, minus 5,000. In the distant jungle, the wailing sound of the captain of the Sanctions team could be heard. Minus 5,000, minus 5,000, minus 5,000. The blood volume deducted by soul burning made him miserable. I can only roll back and forth on the ground, hoping that the pain will subside. Unfortunately, this is damage to the soul and cannot be physically shielded. The screams here shocked the team members for a whole year. Liu Yong claimed to be used to it, but when he saw this scene, he still couldn't help but open his mouth. Wu cow, this is awesome, isn't it? What kind of skill was that just now? It instantly strengthened the Dark Ranger and killed the captain of the Judgment team a few kilometers away. Oh my god, wasn't I dreaming? Mu Shui looked at Qin Zi with a complicated face. One arrow does 80,000 points of damage, and it also has burning and continuous blood deductions. This can no longer be described as perverted. Meow meow meow, brother Qin Zi, are you interested in joining our Jalan organization? It's okay to give it a name, please be cool. Catwoman's eyes shone brightly, and she started to act coquettishly towards Qin Zi. Your Jalan organization is a hidden black market. When this copy is over, you can help me see if there are any skills for the summoner of the undead. Qin Zi had already wanted to ask. Skills are the top priority for him. Much more important than equipment, props, etc. Of course, meow. Can it be divided into installments? Installments. Catwoman scratched her head in confusion, then nodded firmly. Able. Nex, come on. Qin Zi snapped his fingers. The ghoul Nex, who was holding a thigh in his mouth in the distance, raised his head blankly, then looked angrily at the corpse, which was left with only a pile of debris, and came to Qin Zi's side with a cry. It looked like he was complaining. All the corpses were eaten. Who is it? The taboo touch was dangling next to it, and the sharp mouth on it swallowed the last bite, pretending that nothing was wrong. Go and drag the captain of the Sanctions team over. Don't steal anything on the way. I'll ask him something. I can give it to you to eat after it's over. As soon as Qin Zi said this, Nex became excited instantly. The four claws clawed at the ground crazily and ran towards the captain of the Sanctions team. Liu Yong and others' mouths twitched. If you let Ghoul Nex find someone else, can he come back intact? As expected, a few minutes later, the screams of the leader of the Sanctions team could be heard from the woods in the distance. The team members shook their heads one after another. How could Ghoul Nex be able to hold back? If Rubaozi beats a dog, can Rubaozi come back? However, Qin Zi trusts Nex very much. Time passes minute by minute. Nex bit the thigh of the captain of the Sanctions team, emerged from the woods, and placed him in front of Qin Zi, his expectant eyes seeming to ask for credit. The captain of the Sanctions team was still moaning in pain, but his fingers and toes were all chewed up. Miserable and miserable. After Qin Zi walked over, he immediately trembled with fright. I'll ask you a few questions. As long as you can answer them, I can consider letting you go. Really, I must tell you everything. The captain of the Sanctions team's eyes lit up and he said quickly. You are currently in the first stage of transformation. The strongest holy royal family in this region. What stage of transformation are you in? General Black Sun, he has completed the second stage of transformation, both body and soul. He is now seeking the third stage of transformation, which is the characteristics of a higher life state. That, you can rest assured, the third stage of transformation currently, Only 20 members of the Holy Royal Family can achieve it, and only our king can achieve the cocoon after the third stage of transformation. Have you completed the second stage of transformation? Qin Zi frowned slightly. To be honest, the path of extraordinary transformation of the Holy Royal Family is quite strong, and it is also a good choice for career change at level 25, but unfortunately it does not fit with his professional characteristics. Moreover, this thing was created by the Holy Royal Family through disease research. It is hard to say what is at the end of the road of transformation. When the time comes that you have gone all the way to the end and become a monster, who can you talk to for reason? General Black Sun, is he the strongest in this area? Qin Zi continued to ask. He must know the upper limit of the enemy's power, otherwise a perverted monster will suddenly appear and kill him easily. General Black Sun is indeed the strongest. He also has 12 strong generals under his command, all of whom are in the second stage of transformation. One of the generals even gave me pointers to help me successfully enter the first stage of transformation. Captain of the sanction team. As he talked, he felt a little proud. And what happened to the castle? Qin Zi asked doubtfully with the attitude of asking if he didn't understand. According to the intelligence previously obtained, the castle is a more terrifying existence than General Black Sun. How can it be weaker than General Black Sun? That is the Duke's castle. It can communicate directly with the royal family. It specializes in the research of ancient diseases and promotes the development of the path of divine transformation. General Black Sun once stayed in the castle for 10 years, using his own body to explore the path of divine transformation, rode, and finally successfully entered the third stage of transformation. It can be said that the Duke's castle created General Black Sun. The captain of the sanctions team became more and more proud and raised his head. Such a feat can only be accomplished by their Holy Royal Family. That's it, I understand. Qin Zi nodded, having a certain understanding of the division of strength in this area. Then, he waved to Ghoul Nex, leave it to you. Ouch. Nex suddenly crawled over excitedly and looked at the face of the captain of the sanctions team that was twisted with fear. You don't mean what you say. I told you to go, but I didn't tell you where to go. How can it not count? Congratulations, you successfully killed a sanctions team leader and gained experience, 4,500. Props obtained. Holy Shield Platinum level. Ghoul Nex swallows the head of the leader of the sanctions team, gaining evolution plus 25, strength attribute plus 25, and holy energy plus 100. Your Ghoul Nex begins to evolve. Nex suddenly stopped eating, then stood up and looked at his dark golden claws in shock. Immediately afterwards, its sharp claws bloomed like flowers, forming a terrifying harvest disc. And as its thought moved, its sharp claws suddenly retracted. Harvest disc. The blooming claws can shock and cut the enemy's body, and can pierce the defensive armor twice the attack level. At the same time, it causes 6,000 points of tearing damage to the enemy, and will 100% trigger bleeding, maiming and other effects. Nex finally evolved, and the attack is as high as 6,000, which is pretty good. Congratulations, you have completed the camp mission. Stick to the village and gain plus 500 camp points. Get favorability from Poison Fog Village plus 3,000. Experience gained, 150,000. Reward, Exquisite Treasure Chest. Faction Mission, Trigger. Task Direction Selection. 1. Continue to hold on to the Poisonous Fog Village. 2. Destroy the stronghold of the Holy Royal Family. 3. Capture the invaded city and liberate the slave Bobo people. Extremely dangerous. Note: all tasks are task chains, and each selection will lead to changes in subsequent tasks. The camp mission, hold on to the village, was finally successfully completed. Qin Zi saw white lights emerging from other team members one after another, and he must have gained considerable experience. The Black Abyss dungeon distributes rewards based on the percentage of effort. Therefore, they are destined to only get a little experience. But that is much better than entering the dungeon and fighting monsters on their own. Continue to choose the camp mission. I think we should choose the third one, which is to seize the invaded city and liberate the slave Bobo people. What do you think? After all, we are all on the same team, so it is necessary to ask other people's opinions. Lu Yang: Father, I will follow you. I can choose whatever I choose, because no matter whether it is easy or difficult, the Holy Royal Family can beat the shit out of me. Catwoman: It's all up to Brother Chinzi to make the decision. After the dungeon comes out, Brother Chinzi will help me support the scene. How about I get Brother Chinzi the skill book of the Undead Summoner? Chinzi gave her an okay gesture. As long as you have a skill book, everything is easy. Mushui, Sun Yunlong. That's great. I've been promoted 2 levels and got a piece of gold level equipment. Is there anything else I can do? Seeing that everyone was following him, Chinzi didn't say anything more. Only the 3rd camp mission was chosen. Capture the invaded city and liberate the slave Bobo people. This bunch of stupid holy royal family, just kill them. Let them feel what the special code is called the Undead Natural Disaster. Faction mission, accepted successfully. Experience reward, 500,000. Equipment reward, star quality equipment treasure box 1. Other rewards, perfect quality treasure box 1, enjoy city economic share 1. 500,000 experience points. And a treasure chest of star quality equipment. As we all know, above diamond level equipment, there is star quality equipment, which is hard to come by. Any professional who can obtain star quality equipment will choose to take good care of it and then use it until death. Level 20 star quality equipment is comparable to level 30 diamond quality equipment. One can imagine how valuable it is. This city must be broken and this mission must be completed. Oh, there is also an exquisite treasure chest. A heavy treasure box appeared out of thin air, and then landed in front of Chinzi with a bang. Metal material, complex texture. As the treasure chest slowly opened, cyan light bloomed from it. A skill book appeared spinning. Skill book. Chinzi's eyes lit up and he quickly took the skill book in his hand. The thick treasure chest randomly turns into black smoke and disappears. Congratulations, you opened the exquisite treasure chest and obtained the skill book, Frost Armor. Frost Armor, Undead Summoner, Necromancer, Water Mage, Arcane Mage. All can be learned. Skill Introduction. Extremely cold armor, which can freeze surrounding enemies, or slow down the movement speed and attack speed of powerful enemies. It can be released on yourself or allies, increasing armor value. 1000 points, mana consumption, 500, duration, 1 hour. A very common skill, that is, freezing may be useful. But Chinzi is not panic at all, because he has resonance crystal. As long as it's a skill, just take it without thinking. Resonance crystal, activate. Frost armor, right pointing arrow, continuously upgrading right pointing arrow, extreme cold magic armor. Extreme cold magic armor LV.8326, Undead Mage and Ice Mage can be learned. Skill Introduction. Release pure extreme cold elements, combine them into armor around the body through special secret methods, provide indestructible defense, armor plus 100000, provide magic power bonus, running speed plus 50 ms, jumping, attack speed, etc. Also affected, an extremely cold aura spreads, all enemies within a range of 50 meters enter a frozen, slow state, and continue to lose 100 points of blood per second. Mana consumption. 3000 points, target unit. Self or friendly forces, duration, 3 hours. Group release. It consumes 15,000 mana points and can designate 10 allies to obtain the effect of extreme cold magic armor. Great bonus. Wait a minute, why does this seem to be a group release and the mana amount is halved? Anyway, it's a very good defensive skill as a standalone, and there is no requirement for the size of friendly units. 10 meters high and 1 meter high are completely different things. I don't know how the specific release is calculated. Current mana level. 4835 7500 restores 20 mana points per second. As skills improve, the amount of mana becomes less and less. The amount of mana added to the equipment is also drizzle, and almost half of the 3000 mana is consumed. We need to quickly get some equipment and props that increase the mana limit. Hopefully completing this mission will sort it out. Without further ado, Chinzi immediately found the village chief and asked about the specific location of the invaded city. The village chief was still in a state of confusion. He called several times but didn't respond. The holy royal family was completely destroyed. How is this possible? Incredible. Village chief, don't talk about these sacred royal clans. I have liberated the invaded city. Those sacred royal clans have to make room for your real aborigines to settle down and establish their businesses again. Chinzi said with a smile, his words full of confidence. Other teammates nodded one after another, saying that Chinzi's words were reliable. People can really do it. The village chief was stunned for a long time, tears suddenly burst out of his eyes, and he knelt down to kowtow to Chinzi. Hey, village chief, let's talk carefully if we have something to say. Chinzi was excited and quickly supported the village chief. The village chief did not insist anymore, but looked at Chinzi with tearful eyes, and continued, we Bobo people actually have our own ancient inheritance. We are not like the sacred royal family who can reach the sky in one step, but we are better because of our abundant and endless magic power. Absolutely, it can greatly develop the potential of our Bobo people. However, this is also what the Holy Royal Family has spied on. If they analyze and fuse our inheritance to make up for their lack of physical fitness, I am afraid they can really open up the path to divine transformation. By then, we Bobo people will be doomed. The village chief should tell such a secret only when his favorability reaches a certain level. Chinzi couldn't hear anything else clearly, and there were only two words in his mind. Lando, endless supply. No matter what other people think of the Bobo people's heritage, to him it's an SSS-level career transfer heritage. Village chief, can I get a transfer through inheritance? Chinzi asked directly without beating around the bush. Of course you can. You are the benefactor of our Bobo people and are fully qualified to receive the inheritance. The village chief said without hesitation. But, in order to prevent the Holy Royal Family from succeeding, we Bobo people deliberately hid the inherited secret treasure. Only by getting the inherited secret treasure can you obtain the true inheritance. Is the inherited secret treasure still there? Of course, in the underground fortifications in the north, but my token alone may not be enough for you to gain inheritance. As long as you have it, everything else is easy to talk about. In the worst case, I will slaughter all the Holy Royal Family to cheer you up. The village chief looked up suddenly. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. The Holy Royal Family, the General's mansion. General Black Sun, who is 2 meters wide and 3 meters tall, is sitting on a luxurious and magnificent golden wide chair. Layers of fat drooped on his body. The golden light was like breathing, illuminating the fat and then dimming it. There is also the golden rhombus crystal between his eyebrows, and the golden stripes radiating along the skin actually converge towards the eyes, and reach the eyeballs, turning into the dot in the center of the pupil. The golden light is brilliant, scattering like sunlight. There are 5 or 6 women from the Holy Royal Family around him, who are serving them attentively. Unfortunately, their bodies are too slender. Their bodies are not as thick as General Black Sun's calves. Lying on General Black Sun's fat belly, they are almost like a long kitten. The women of the Holy Royal Family were probably exhausted from running around General Black Sun. General Black Sun was having a great time with a woman who could be crushed to death with just one hand. At this time, an informant from the Holy Royal Family hurriedly walked in, knelt on one knee and shouted. Sir General, there has been a riot in Poisonous Fog Village. Riot. General Black Sun raised his eyelids and pushed the woman away from his belly with his fingers. What kind of riot law? Let me tell you. The people in Poison Mist Village are suspected of rioting, and the entire slave team has not returned. General Black Sun was stunned for a moment, and then sneered, these Bobo people are really tenacious. At this point, they still dare to resist. In this case, then send them all to the castle. As soon as the word, castle, came out, the Holy Royal Guards standing guard all around trembled. It was as if these 2 words were a terror rooted in the bone marrow. As you command. General Black Sun grabbed one of the woman's legs, pulled it directly into the air while screaming, and fiddled with it at will. The other women from the Holy Royal Family served tremblingly, and there are not a few women who are played to death every day. I'm afraid there will be one more today. As a result, within a few minutes, the Holy Royal Family's informant hurried in again. What's wrong? General Black Sun was in high spirits, but was interrupted and asked dissatisfiedly. The Holy Royal Family informant wiped away cold sweat, and then said, the entire slave team is dead. They also planted the heads of the slave team at the entrance of the village. It is said that the guards around the castle also found an arrow with the head of the slave team leader gasping for air. After hearing this, General Black Sun was stunned. Can a bunch of malnourished Bobos kill a slave team? Immediately afterwards, he realized that there might be outsiders in the poisonous fog village, so he changed his words. Send a sanctions team to massacre the entire poisonous fog village. That outsider must be caught and hang the head of our holy royal family at the entrance of the village. Humph, he is really tired of living. As commanded. General Black Sun suddenly felt that a woman seemed uninteresting, so he grabbed 2 more while screaming. Just as he was playing with it in his hands, his interest gradually increased and he was ready to have a big fight. The Holy Royal Family's informant suddenly broke in from outside the door, stumbled in, and screamed. The sanctions team has also been wiped out. Huge tentacles of unknown significance appeared around the poisonous fog village. It was these tentacles that killed all the members of the sanctions team. What? General Black Sun stood up suddenly, subconsciously exerting force on his hands, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard. Immediately afterwards, the white and tender body exploded directly, and the minced meat and limbs covered the faces of the women around him. But they didn't even dare to scream. Outsiders are so arrogant. Prepare my dragon horse beast, I want to go to the poison mist village to see for myself. The people around the Holy Royal Family dispersed all of a sudden, getting ready when it was time to prepare, and wiping the floor when it was time to wipe it. At this time, 5 black figures suddenly appeared outside the door, wearing armor and equipment that only professionals would have. General, please don't be impulsive. The leading man took a deep breath and then stepped forward with a smile on his face. The elite professional of Lee Company, Lin Moxuan, is a professional berserker. His current level is LV.24, and he is still 1 level short of being able to undergo the job transfer mission, so he set his sights on the path of divine transformation of the Holy Royal Family. Other members of Lee Company, including Li Xingang, also chose this path. Outsiders, do you have anything to say? General Black Sun saw that he was a professional. His anger and excitement softened a little, and then he asked with a stern face. This is the advantage that professionals have over natives. As long as the Black Abyss copy confirms joining the camp, people in the camp regardless of their status will be very tolerant of professionals and will at least give them a chance to talk and communicate. Lin Moxuan, on the other hand, needs enough camp points to give himself the opportunity to transfer through inheritance. At the same time, he can kill Qinzi and get rewards from Li's company. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, why not? General, it's like this. I know something about the outsider in the poisonous fog village. This person is extremely weak. You can easily crush him with 1 finger. Lin Moxuan said respectfully. Yes, General Black Sun nodded with satisfaction. After all, he is in existence in the 3rd stage of divine transformation. It is natural for him to crush the opponent with 1 finger. However, hearing it from the mouths of these outsiders still made him very happy. But this person is very sinister, and he is willing to use his small skills to make a big difference. He specially prepares some props that can poison people, or magical props that can kill people instantly. You know, we outsiders have all kinds of weird things, but he specializes in collect these and wait to trick others. After hearing this, General Black Sun frowned. His life state is now in chaos, and sometimes he can't control it. If there were any more poisonous props, he might really die suddenly. After Lin Moxuan saw General Black Sun persuaded, he immediately smiled and continued, please hand him over to us. We are both outsiders and we know his methods very well. Such low-level life forms, why do you, the general, need to dispatch them? General Black Sun nodded with satisfaction. He sat down on the luxurious wide chair again, and then said to Lin Moxuan. As long as you deal with the outsiders in the poisonous fog village, I can give you 3 big treasure chests. Money, women, equipment, and divine power, I can give you whatever you want. When Lin Moxuan heard this, he was immediately overjoyed. Immediately afterwards, a prompt box pops up in front of you asking whether to accept the camp mission. Faction mission. Defend Colonial City. He did not show it, but instead led the 4 team members behind him to kneel down and kowtow. Thank you, General, for your appreciation. We will certainly live up to your high expectations. General Black Sun nodded, and then waved his hand impatiently, asking them to leave quickly. Lin Moxuan and others walked out of the general's mansion and immediately rushed to the Colonial City. Defend Colonial City. Task acceptance. Holy Royal Family, Colonial City. A tall and powerful royal man was walking in the city built by the Bobo people, enjoying the plundered food and wine. His face showed a sense of superiority and an unabashed disdain for other creatures. The Bobo people, the aboriginal people of this city, are now imprisoned in iron cages in the slave market on the west side of the city, with thick chains around their necks. They are bought in the bargaining process by the holy royal people, and sometimes they are beaten. A few whips, and the skin and flesh were bruised. Numbness was the only emotion in their eyes. At this time, above the west city wall, the calm space began to twist, as if it was taking off its clothes. Behind the space curtain, Mu Shui's cold and handsome face appeared, and then she swung her right arm back, and the equipment similar to an invisibility cloak opened. Qinzi got out from under her arm, put his hands in his pockets and walked to the edge of the city wall. Look across the colonial city. Hey, there are quite a few people there, a conservative estimate of around 200,000. It's just that the living conditions are too simple. The low houses are like shantytowns. The roads between the houses are muddy dirt roads. The most important thing is that there are no special sewage channels in the whole city. People defecate in the streets. When it was finished, the somewhat particular holy royal family put it into a basin and then poured it into the street. Qinzi silently pinched his nose. It was a bit outrageous. Immediately afterwards, several people from behind came out of Mu Shui's invisibility curtain. Their overall posture was like an eagle catching a chicken. Qinzi put his arms around Mu Shui's waist and hugged him closely. The close contact caused a blush to appear on Mu Shui's cheeks. However, what is this? When they officially appeared, they all frowned and pinched their noses. Ah, it smells so bad. I'm so fascinated that I can't even open my eyes. As soon as Lu Yong came out, his eyes squeezed into a line and tears flowed out, unable to stop them. Meow. Catwoman followed and walked out. She immediately stuck out her little tongue and moaned as if she had been hit head-on. She immediately turned around and wanted to return to Mu Shui's arms, but was ruthlessly pushed away. You. The middle-aged Uncle Sun Yunlong, who once saw the broken body, adapted very well and did not have any vomiting reaction. Maybe he put his resistance in a strange place. Mu Shui watched everyone go out, so she waved her arm to cover herself in again. He won't come out even if he's beaten to death. I'm really impressed by these people from the Holy Royal Clan. They have such domineering names. I should be more careful at least. Qinzi raised the magic dragon staff, consumed 1000 mana, and first made himself an arctic magic armor. The light blue ice-cold current quickly intertwined around Qinzi and finally surrounded him from top to bottom. The cold, crisp air immediately revived him. As for other people, he can't control it. If he spends 1000 magic points to do these things, will he attack the city or not? However, everyone else had a solution. Lu Yong took out a stone mask and put it on his face and he was able to breathe immediately. Catwoman used a bubble skill to cover her head like an astronaut. The middle-aged Uncle Sun Yunlong took out a mask unhurriedly. It seems like the barbecue stall can't be built. It would be nice for everyone to just stand here and enjoy the natural disaster of the undead. As for why Qinzi and others relied on Mu Shui's cloak to reach the West City Wall, that's because there are strongholds of the Holy Royal Family everywhere. If they want to reach this colonial city, they have to fight all the way. It's quite troublesome. It's better to sneak in, and then come directly to a big one. At this time, a vigilant voice suddenly sounded. Who are you? Qinzi turned around and saw 5 sacred royal guards holding spears. The golden diamond-shaped crystal between the eyebrows shines brightly. Qinzi glanced at them, then smiled slightly and said, "You guess." Immediately afterwards, he raised the magic dragon staff in his hand and began to chant. Come out, my Despair Naval Battle Cemetery. Despair Sea Battle Cemetery LV.12374. Summon 5 super sea battle cemeteries from another world, with 5 completely different sea grave trenches, namely Ship Sea Grave Trench, Sea Monster Sea Grave Trench, and Piranha Group Sea Grave Trench. Deep Trench, Ocean Snake Man Sea Tomb Trench, and Ocean Abyss Murloc Tomb Trench, all skeleton-shaped. 30 different types of ocean skeletons crawl out of each trench every 10 seconds. Number of summons. No upper limit. Skill duration. No upper limit. Consumes 5000 mana points, and the mana deduction is doubled every hour. Time required for chanting. 30 seconds. The skeleton cemetery summoning skill chain is currently considered one of Chin-Zi's ultimate tricks. The level increase every second during this period makes it even more terrifying. The only downside is the extra 30 seconds of singing time. Chin-Zi can also understand this. After all, this kind of destructive skill needs time to expand its field. The 5 sacred royal guards also saw something was wrong at this time and were sure of Chin-Zi's power. According to their racial characteristics, they would not take risks, but immediately fled in all directions to inform others of the news. Quick, there's an enemy attack, notify the city defense general. I'm going to inform the city lord that the other party is coming fiercely, so we must pay attention. Yes, I'll find some people first. Quote. The guards of the Holy Royal Family spoke awe-inspiring words and then fled in a hurry. But, before they had taken a few steps, a huge thing appeared in the sky and blocked the light above them. The shadow is spreading rapidly, even threatening to cover the entire city. 5 Holy Royal Guards. They stopped and looked back at the sky. They saw ocean-like ripples appearing in the sky. No, it should be said that it turned into a deep sea. The bottomless dark trench made them tremble, and this thing was turned upside down, as if the entire ocean was poured out from it. However, these are all their imaginations. The dark trench hangs upside down in the air, always remaining calm, without a drop of seawater falling. Along with Chin-Zi's singing, the trench cemetery slowly unfolded, and some things could be vaguely seen in it. Next moment, the battle trench in the center rattles with ships. The large ship, broken down to its skeleton, vaguely emerged from the dark trench cemetery. Then it broke through the critical point and rushed to the top of the colonial city. The 20-meter-long water-breaking bottom of the ship slammed hard on the city wall. Rumble, the city wall collapsed, and the broken ship bones were rowed along the stone bricks towards the center of the colonial city. The dark masts and broken ship decks were filled with pirate skeletons holding scimitars. They thought they were robbing and plundering the city, so they opened and closed their teeth excitedly and cheered loudly in celebration. At this moment, no matter whether the teammates are the Holy Royal Family or the professional team of Lee Company, they looked at the 5 trenches that suddenly appeared. My mind is filled with one character. Quote. The colonial city of the Holy Royal Family, the City Lord's mansion. Lin Moxuan walked in quickly with 4 teammates. After seeing the colonial city lord, he first bowed his hands. Lord City Lord, we received an order from General Black Sun and came here to protect this city. My city doesn't need you to protect it. The bamboo-thin Holy Royal City Lord stood in front of the window with his hands behind his back, his brows full of pride. This, Lin Moxuan and the dead looked at each other, and then their expressions changed. Lin Moxuan took out 5 gold bars exchanged by the bank from the warehouse and placed them on top of each other, exuding an alluring golden luster. There was a small tray supported under it, and then it was carried to the side of the Holy Royal Family City Lord. The Holy Royal Family glanced at it from the corner of their eyes and immediately beamed with joy, but they had to pretend to be calm. The corners of his mouth twitched crazily, but they were suppressed. Lord City Lord, we are not questioning your abilities, nor are we trying to show off ourselves. Lin Moxuan continued while holding the gold. The outsider who threatens the city this time is our old enemy. We need to use your power to complete the encirclement and suppression of this outsider, and at the same time eliminate the threat to the city. These 5 gold bricks are our meeting gift, please you accept it. An outsider, is he worth our efforts? As far as I know, he is just one of the Pigbobo people. What kind of disturbance can such a person cause? The city lord turned around and immediately accepted the 5 gold bricks calmly, stroking their surface with trembling fingers. He had never seen such color and order. Lord City Lord, you are right. This outsider is far weaker than us. It is no exaggeration to say that as long as we can meet, I can immediately beat him to the ground. Lin Moxuan nodded, express approval. So weak. The city lord was a little surprised. He handed the 5 gold bricks to his servants, then moved his arms and said, according to what you said, I can easily kill this outsider. Of course, the lord of the city is stronger than us, so naturally he can play with it casually. But, this outsider is notoriously sinister. It is said that there is only one water source in this city. I think it is 100% sure that he will spread poison in this river, and it will also be contagious, and the entire city will die immediately. Lost most of it. The city lord was shocked and his eyes widened suddenly. Yes, in addition, he can also release wind magic and blow poisonous powder into the city. The effect is the same. Then what do you want to do now? Lord City Lord, first recall all the holy royal soldiers from all strongholds and surround the city to form an iron barrel array. Not even a bird can fly over. Our team will catch this cunning outsider and kill him. The corners of Lin Moxuan's mouth curled up, and he began to imagine in his mind the scene of getting rewards on both sides of him after killing Qinzi. He is currently at LV.24 and has the help of the entire city. How can he lose? You won't lose even if you lie down. Afterwards, the two sides had a frank and in-depth exchange of ideas on how to kill Qinzi. You can publish a book, and the name is Qinzi's 100 Ways to Die. Until a black shadow appeared outside the window, like a vertical eye, slowly opening. Hey, what is this? The skinny city lord was the first to notice something was wrong, so he looked out the window in confusion. He thought it was an experiment conducted by the castle, but the more he looked at it, the more he felt something was wrong. This is wrong. As time passed by second, the vertical seam also opened up, and a dark, water-filled scene appeared inside. Countless bones and strange-shaped objects seemed to be buried in it. Since the Holy Royal Family are inland creatures, they have never seen the sea and cannot understand the deep trenches. When Lin Moxuan and others saw this, their smiles instantly became stiff. The next moment he stood up suddenly and screamed. Enemy attack, outsiders are coming. An outsider, didn't you say he only puts poison in the river? The city lord became even more anxious and confused. How do you summon rivers directly to the sky, and there are 5 of them? How is this possible? Does a skill that can create such a large scale really exist in this world? Oh my god, the deep sea is hanging upside down in the sky. There are sunken ships and sea monsters in it. No, according to the information, Qinzi is not a level 15 professional. Even if he is an undead summoner, I can understand you summoning skeletons. What is the purpose of summoning the trench? Quote. Lin Moxuan and the other 5 people could not care about the city lord. Everyone was in unparalleled shock. They couldn't understand what was happening now. However, there seemed to be a gap between the long and narrow trench that appeared in the sky in reality, and the terrifying seawater did not pour down. Ha ha ha, I know, this must be a trick to scare people. Lin Moxuan's heart moved, the doubts in his mind suddenly cleared up, and he breathed a sigh of relief. But before he could finish his words, a dark and tattered hull structure rushed out of the trench in the middle, with a pirate logo similar to a skull head printed on it. Countless skeletons and bones lay on the ship, waving scimitars in their hands. The heavy hull directly crushed the enemy wall. Everyone. Are you serious? And the hull is indeed filled with skeletons, which is what the undead summoner should do. Even if there is only one ship, sea monster skeletons are constantly rushing out of the 4 trenches next to it. The skeleton fishman with human body and fish tail twisted his tail and jumped out, like rain. A giant armor covered with seaweed popped up, and underneath it was a dead ocean titan, its head poking out from the trench graveyard. The piranha twisted its body, opened its mouth full of sharp teeth, and bit everything it saw. Large tracts of white skeletons sloped down from the Wudao High Trench Cemetery, like 5 white waterfalls. This is not a joke, is it? Too exaggerated. Lin Moxuan and the other 5 looked at this scene, their brains already shut down. The city lord became anxious. Is this the outsider you were talking about? Didn't you say he was weak? Don't worry, summon all the soldiers of the Holy Royal Family to fight against these skeletons. Don't worry, these skeletons have decayed and died. They are very fragile and will fall apart at the touch of a touch. The undead summoner's body is very weak. Let's bring some good players to snipe the body. Lin Moxuan spoke very fast, even coaxing and deceiving without any hesitation. The city lord immediately nodded and said, Okay, I will personally lead people to fight against these skeletons. You take my cronies with you. They are the strongest Holy Royal Family here. Kill the undead summoner you are talking about as soon as possible. Okay, let's do it like this. The two sides quickly dispersed in the city lord's palace and quickly launched operations against the sea of skeletons that appeared in the sky. However, it is a pity that the natural disaster of the undead has begun, and countless experiences have gathered into Qinzi's body. Congratulations, you killed a guard of the Holy Royal Family and gained experience, 2100. Congratulations, you killed an archer of the Holy Royal Family and gained experience, 1800. Congratulations, you killed an ordinary person from the Holy Royal Family and gained experience, 100. Enemy attack. The guards of the Holy Royal Family were huddled in the shade of the city wall playing cards and gambling. Then a huge trench slowly opened in the sky above them. They stared blankly until the trench opened completely. When the huge black and broken ship skeleton rushed out of the trench above their heads, they realized that the horror had arrived. Seeing the pitch-black ship skeleton getting bigger and bigger before their eyes, the guards suddenly jumped up from the ground, and then hurriedly fled in all directions, fearing to be delayed even a second. But only a few were able to successfully escape, and most of them were smashed directly into the city wall by the black ship skeleton, turning into pools of flesh and blood. -85,000, triggers death from heavy pressure. -85,000, triggers death from heavy pressure. -85,000, triggers death from heavy pressure. The damage values pop up in pieces, killing instantly without any surprises. Congratulations, you killed a guard of the Holy Royal Family and gained experience points, 2000. Congratulations, you killed a guard of the Holy Royal Family and gained experience points, 2100. Congratulations, you killed an archer of the Holy Royal Family and gained experience, 1800. The black ship skeleton was crushed like this, and when the city wall was shattered, 123 sacred royal guards died here. Congratulations, you have successfully upgraded to LV.19, all attributes +1, free attributes +4, blood volume +400, mana volume +100. Dreadnought skeleton, special monster root, level, LV.19 cannot surpass the summoner. HP, 350,000. Attributes, Strength 5000, Agility 0, Intelligence 0. Skill 1, Set Sail. Set sail. The soul of the intrepid is eager to sail on ocean adventures, but it has been sunk by cannonballs and has sunk to the bottom of the sea forever. However, the obsession with sailing forward is still strong. It can slide forward by relying on any favorable terrain, and the ship's bones can be broken. The terrain moves forward at a speed of 0 to 20 knots, and causes 0 to 100,000 points of damage to enemies along the way. You need to use terrain. If there is no terrain, you can ask the skeleton crew to carve out one. Skill 2. Skeleton crew. If your strength is recognized by the spirit of the dauntless ship, you can become a skeleton crew member, share 50% of the strength attribute of the ship, and gain agility *300. You can retain your original intelligence. After killing the enemy, you can transform it into a skeleton crew member, or absorb the opponent's life force. To make yourself stronger, the current number of skeleton crew members, 100. Skill 3. Hull activation. After the Dauntless generates a ship soul, the hull gains a certain amount of space for movement. The cable's anchors can be launched forward, entangled, change directions, etc. The deck can be opened and closed, and the abandoned artillery can autonomously turn and be loaded. If it can still be fired, if so, you can bombard the enemy with artillery fire. Introduction. It was an extremely tragic naval battle. Rumble. After the intrepid ship's bones hit the city wall, it began to slide towards the city. The skeleton crewmen jumped off the ship with their hands bent and their teeth chattering. The knife struck hard on the blocking spear of the Holy Royal Guards. Countless firelights suddenly flew up. The Holy Royal Guards screamed and stomped backwards, and the huge force caused blood to flow from their mouths. Ta-da-da. The pirate skeletons were extremely vicious, leaving him no time to breathe. Several of them went up and chopped him into pieces, and even the bones were broken. -4,789, -4,801, -4,823. The green aura representing vitality emerges from the 5 orifices guarding the sacred royal family of death. Then they were divided equally among the pirate skeletons who hacked him to death. The next moment, the surface of the pirate skull became more shiny. Even the seaweed growing on his body became greener. After the dauntless ship's skeleton smashed into the city wall, it was immediately surrounded by the guards of the Holy Royal Family who rushed over. The two sides began to fight extremely fiercely. The tragedy here refers specifically to the guards of the Holy Royal Family. And inside the city, the slave owners of the Holy Royal Family were raising their whips, beating the Bobo people in front of them to pieces. The people in the surrounding cages are all Bobo people. I asked you to be more energetic, don't you understand? If you can't sell it for a good price, I'll beat you to death. You have to eat every day, so I'll lose you to death. The pigs are more useful than you. Quote. The vicious curses became more and more unpleasant to hear. The Bobo man's hands were tied and hung up, and his head was lowered. Facing the fierce whip, his body just swayed. He was so weak that he couldn't even speak, so he could only hum. Since he was born, his hometown has been invaded and occupied, and he can only hide with his mother every day. Until one day, several guards from the Holy Royal Family smiled lewdly and stretched out their hands to his mother. He resisted desperately, but in the end he just hit my head and was bleeding. Since then, he has never seen his mother again. I just saw a puddle of minced meat whose shape I couldn't recognize. How unwilling, he thought to himself. There was no one to support him before he died. Even if he was asked to bite off a piece of meat, he would still do it. Now being tied up here and being whipped to death is really frustrating. At this time, the constant severe pain suddenly stopped. The Bobo man opened his eyes tremblingly and looked over in confusion. It turned out that guests were coming, and they were 3 divine royals in gorgeous clothes. He knew them well and came here every now and then to select Bobo female slaves. You can imagine what you will do when you take them back. And with their frequent purchases, the fate of these Bobo women is also very clear. Died. The slave owner rubbed his hands and walked over with a smile on his face to select the female slave in the cage for the 3 of them. Soon, the women's screams and screams started to sound. They also know that if they are bought away, they will face a situation worse than death. But all this is beyond their control. The Bobo man who was hung closed his eyes, tears streaming down from the corners of his eyes. Even if your heart is full of humiliation, anger, and unwillingness, what can you do? Nothing can be done, nothing can be changed. The only fate awaiting him was to be whipped to death. A humiliating death. Not far away, they had selected a female slave and pulled her out of the cage with a lewd smile. Suddenly, a crisp snapping sound sounded. It seemed like something fell from the sky. Immediately afterwards, the slave owner and the other 3 people screamed in horror. Aha, what is this? Skeleton, why does it have a fish tail? They are still moving, who can help me get rid of them? It bit me, my ears are gone. The Bobo man then opened his eyes in shock. Then I saw a scene I will never forget. Skeletons with human bodies and fish tails fell from the sky like raindrops. After landing, it bites the people around it. Ha, you deserve it. Die, you all die. The Bobo man laughed maniacally. Until a mermaid skeleton slowly crawled toward him, its terrifying face making people feel chilled. Come, eat me, eat them too. The Bobo shouted excitedly. Tears of excitement flowed from his eyes. But the next second, the rope that tied him was suddenly bitten off by the mermaid skeleton. Why, in the slave market, white skulls rained down. Smashed into the mud, splashing dust. It hit the house and made a banging sound. Some of them fell directly on the members of the Holy Royal Family and smashed them to the ground. As soon as he saw it was food, the mermaid skeleton opened his sharp teeth and bit it down, causing blood to splash everywhere, like an exploding fruit. Holy Royal Family, you too have today. Countless Bobo people saw this doomsday scene without any fear, but showed excitement. Has anyone ever experienced being sold as a slave in their own homeland to an enemy who has invaded their homeland? This kind of humiliation cannot be accepted by anyone in their right mind. Now that it is finally over, evil people will be punished, and it is extremely satisfying to witness the tragic death of the Holy Royal Family. But, what all the slave Bobo people didn't expect was that the terrifying skeletons falling from the sky did not eat them one by one, but cut the ropes that bound them and bit the metal cage that trapped them into pieces. Those sharp claws will definitely be a bloody hole when they touch the body. But it didn't hurt them at all. The slave Bobo people were freed from the ropes and prisons, and they all sat slumped on the spot, dumbfounded as they watched the Holy Royal family scream and be bitten to death. Those royal people who used to be aloof and choose them arbitrarily are now so frightened that they can't control their bowels and urine. Not a shred of decent resistance. Suddenly, a member of the Holy Royal family saw in panic that the Bobo people were intact, so he rushed over and hid beside the Bobo people. Sure enough, a mermaid skeleton nearby that wanted to pounce immediately changed its direction. The Holy Royal family, do whatever you can't do, and be the first to escape. More and more Holy Royal families discovered this phenomenon and immediately rushed to squeeze in. Among them were fat slave owners. Look at whatever you're looking at, and if you look again I'll dig out your eyes. Didn't the group of slaves see the skeleton monster outside? Get out of the way for me. Hey, don't move, I'll kick you to death. If you can't sell it for a good price, you have to find some other use. Quote. Although the slave owners were cursing and cursing, the people were really timid and squeezed straight to the center. The people in Bobo looked at each other, with hatred burning in their eyes. He picked up the stone bricks on the ground and moved them towards the slave owner's head. Ah! The slave owner screamed, and blood immediately flowed down. He turned around and shouted ferociously, "How dare you slaves!" There were tears of blood streaming from the corners of Bobo's eyes, and the resentment in his heart almost solidified. They have waited too long for today. Bang 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 bang. Countless stones hammered the slave owner hard, turning him into an unknown mass of blood and flesh. Congratulations, you killed an ordinary member of the Holy Royal family, gained experience, 50, camp points plus 10. Congratulations, you killed a Holy Royal slave owner, gained experience, 200, camp points plus 2000. Congratulations, you killed an ordinary member of the Holy Royal family, gained experience, 50, camp points plus 10. Chinzi stood on the edge of the city wall, surrounded by extremely cold magic armor. The scene of a colonial city suffering from a natural disaster of the undead is really spectacular. Captain, can I take a picture and send it to Moments? Meow. Catwoman came over hesitantly and asked expectantly. Cell phones can be brought in, but there is no signal. Sure. Chinzi smiled slightly and immediately called everyone over. Lu Yong wearing a mask, Sun Yunlong wearing an N95 mask, and Mu Shui hiding in a concealment cloak with only his head exposed. Catwoman stood at the front, making a heart sign against the background of the destroyed colonial city behind her. When your finger presses the shooting button, the skeleton of a deep-sea titan is holding a giant anchor high, and the scene is extremely spectacular. Wow, the effect of the picture is great. When I go back, make your face smaller. Catwoman looked at the pictures and nodded with satisfaction. I will send you a copy later. Do you want the original picture or the edited version? Chinzi. I just want the original picture, thank you. Lu Yong. Me too. Mu Shui. Send me a good copy. Swish, swish, everyone looked at her in unison. Asian head transplant surgery is well deserved. Lu Yong came to Chinzi, looked outside the colonial city and said, it seems that the Holy Royal family has also reacted. The soldiers from the surrounding strongholds are rushing here frantically. Well, I had expected this situation before it came, but the Holy Royal family has quite a few cards. Chinzi looked at the behemoths appearing in the dense forest around him, trampling the big trees under his feet. This should be the war machine of the Holy Royal family. However, in the end, it was just to give him experience. Yellow Spring Body Guidance Technique. Chinzi's face became solemn, and the world began to change before his eyes. The souls of countless Holy Royal families were wailing in the air, seemingly unable to accept the fact of their own death. Chinzi didn't tolerate them and directly sucked all their souls over. The next second, a large number of cyan souls came in one after another, with the distorted expression on their faces. Very naughty. Soul plus 1, 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 soul plus 1. The number of souls is rising crazily. Yellow Spring stores souls, 27,389 50,000ths. It takes more than 10 seconds to reach half of the storage capacity. So many souls are wasted if they are not used. It just happens to be able to replenish the vacant mana. Chinzi immediately grabbed a handful of the souls of the Holy Royal family and threw them towards the dauntless ship's skeleton. Lost and Reborn, activate. The Dauntless's crooked mast immediately straightened up. At the same time, there were only a few sections of the ship's ropes, which immediately became long and as thick as an adult's wrist. More than a dozen dark ropes twisted powerfully in the air, like a wild python. The anchor has become extremely hard, and it can hit a child with one hit. The key thing is that when the anchor and rope become strong again, the intrepid ship skeleton will not rely on the skeleton crew to push forward. Instead, it will use the anchor and rope to fix the position in front, which can force the hull to move forward. Pull forward. The dreadnought skeleton's flexibility has been greatly improved, and it can also find soldiers of the Holy Royal family to kill. Death Raider, trigger. Agility attribute +5 random, health mana recovery 1000. Death Raider, trigger. A total of 5 souls were consumed, and the vacant mana was completely filled up. Qinzi did not hesitate and immediately summoned the Ghoul Necks and the Dark Ranger. He had a bad feeling that he would be safer with these two personal protections. When the Ghoul Necks first appeared, his eyes almost glowed when he looked at the flesh and blood all over the city. You wait until it's over before you eat. At this time, applause suddenly sounded from one side of the city wall. Lin Moxuan walked over with 4 professionals with a sinister smile. Qinzi, you are quite arrogant. How dare you stand on the city wall so carelessly? The colonial city fell into unilateral massacre. The white skeletons fell from the sky, and the ordinary people of the Holy Royal family had no power to resist. All I could do was scream and run away. The 15-meter-high abyssal titan wreckage raised the giant anchor in its hand high and dealt with the buildings with higher defenses. Once smashed, there is no sound. Because they are ordinary people, their combat power may not be as high as the ghouls in the Manor Dungeon, so the experience given is very low, but when measured, the experience is still considerable. Congratulations, you have been upgraded to LV.20, all attributes +2, free attributes +6, blood volume +1000, mana volume +500. Attribute bonuses will also increase as the level increases. The situation in the city soon became clear, but the real challenge came from outside the city. Soldiers from the surrounding Holy Royal family strongholds swarmed in. Coupled with strange experimental objects like human-faced dogs and specially developed war machines, there was still some strength. Here I am. 5 summon the Sea Tomb. The mermaid skeleton Sea Tomb is used to deal with the inside of the city, and the remaining 4 are used to fight against the troops outside the city. Qinzi. Lin Moxuan appeared slowly with 4 teammates and a large number of the city lord's personal guards, all in the first stage of transformation, with a bad look on his face. You said you're a summoner and it's okay not to hide, but you're actually standing on the city wall carefree. Isn't this looking for death? Lin Moxuan had a ferocious smile on his face and looked very excited. The summoner is recognized as being weak. He doesn't believe that Qinzi can still have fighting ability after releasing a city-destroying stunt that can be called a natural disaster. I'm afraid he relies on his teammates to protect him. But, one is better than the other, that is, the Catwoman is a little stronger. Hey, the female assassin is also good. The level information is actually hidden. There must be some hidden props. Well, it must be a wealthy family to have such a rare prop, and you have to save their lives later or not make enemies. If a professional wants to be successful, he must be humane and sophisticated. As for Qinzi, he must be killed, preferably with Shang Shang's head. Boss Li Xinggang will be very happy after seeing him. Obtaining S-level resources in the future will not be a dream. They lined up in a row, and their malice almost came to their faces. The other side. Qinzi narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at them. It felt wonderful to fight against the summoner, and he felt like meeting fellow villagers in a foreign country. However, in foreign countries, it is also the so-called fellows who cheat people the most. The kind that makes you want to peel off a layer of skin. Lin Moxuan, level, LV.24, HP, 13,200, occupation, Berserker. Li Dazhuang, level, LV.22, HP, 15,800, occupation, Shield Warrior. Qingyang, level, LV.24, HP, 7,500, occupation, Ice Ranger. Lu Yan, level, LV.24, HP, 6,300, occupation, Electric Mage. Wang Chunyang, level, 19, HP, 4,800, occupation, Holy Light Priest. A very standard professional team, able to resist, output and increase blood. The level is generally 2 to 4 levels higher than him, and one is even 1 level lower than him. The difficulty is not very high. Qin faced a professional team for the first time, and it felt very strange. Qin, you slaughtered ordinary people in the entire city. What is the difference between you and the executioner? I killed you to do justice to God. Lin Moxuan said with a sense of justice, while taking out 2 big knives and crossing them in front of him. The whole person's aura changed instantly. As soon as these words came out, Liu Yang and others couldn't bear it anymore. Liu Yang, you see clearly, this is the city of the Bobo people, and the indigenous people have been taken to the slave market. Are you blind? Sun Yunlong, I don't have much education, but I know that the oppression and humiliation suffered by the Bobo people are hundreds of times higher than mine. Those are things in the past, but now you slaughtered the city of the Holy Royal Family. You are evil, and I am righteous. Lin Moxuan crossed his swords and released red scarlet light from the surface of his body. The Berserker's core skills are obviously being activated. At this time, the panicked cry of Holy Light Pastor Wang Chunyang suddenly came from behind. No, Lin Moxuan was still activating the Berserker skill. His heart trembled and he quickly turned around to look. I saw the assassin named Mushui coming behind the Holy Light Priest at some point and wiping his throat with a dagger. -1783, bleeding state triggered. -73. Lin Moxuan's pupils shrank suddenly, the damage was so high. He quickly turned around, crossed his swords in front of him, and continued to desperately activate the Berserker skills. It takes a total of 30 seconds to activate, so he started to activate it while standing here. As long as it is activated, the speed will be plus 30%, the damage will be plus 30%, and it will have a blood-sucking effect. Very strong. With Li Dazhuang next to him, he should be able to withstand the shield battle. There are also the city lord's personal guards, 12 in total, each of whom is in a stage of transformation, and they are the real main force. The next second, Li Dazhuang's scream suddenly sounded from the side. The terrifying ghoul appeared out of nowhere and tore open his 2-meter-high shield. Then he tore off his right arm and put it into his mouth. The sound of chewing muscles made his scalp numb. -7321, cripple trigger, poison trigger. -500. Lin Moxuan's eyes widened suddenly. What kind of harm is this? Boo hoo hoo. 3 arrows with light blue cold air flew towards Qin one after another. Lin Moxuan breathed a sigh of relief. Now is my turn. -173. -188. -209. The damage values are floating up one after another, and they are all white. This is impossible. Ice shooter Qingyang held the long bow, and his Taoist heart collapsed in an instant. Her attacks can't even break someone's shield. Hey, it's my turn. Liu Yang, now level 17, stabbed Qingyang directly in the face with his long spear. The opponent retreated in embarrassment, but his butt happened to hit Ne, who was squatting on the ground and chewing. Next slowly turned back, still holding an eyeball in his mouth. Plop, Qingyang's legs softened and he collapsed directly on the ground. However, Ne was not used to it. He pulled her into his arms by her white and tender legs, then opened his sharp teeth and bit into her, accompanied by clear screams and crunching sounds of chewing bones. Rise. Professor Li Dazhuang has died. Dropped experience, 15,000, dropped equipment, Earth Shield Platinum level. Professor Qingyang has died. Dropped experience, 17,000, dropped equipment, Ice Longbow Platinum level. In one encounter, 2 team members died. There was also a priest who had his throat cut and was unable to speak or sing. Lin Moxuan was trembling all over, but his core skill Berserker's Fury had not yet been activated. Chapter 71. There are still 10 seconds until Berserker's Wrath is successfully activated. Lin Moxuan gritted his teeth and the hair on his body stood up. He never expected that 2 teammates would die in a single encounter. What about the level suppression they agreed on? However, Qin was still very virtuous and did not attack him sneakily at this time. After successfully activating Berserker's Wrath, you will be immune to all negative effects and control effects. If you really can't beat him, you can still run away, right? The most important thing is that the 12 personal guards of the City Lord are here. Each of them has entered the first stage of transformation, with LV.25 and 150,000 health. They are boss-level existences in other copies. Now they are their own. The biggest reliance. Kill me. Lin Moxuan crossed his swords and shouted loudly. This shout did not make the 12 personal guards take action, but instead made them look with disdain. As a noble holy royal family, they were very unhappy with this outsider giving orders. They felt very happy when they saw these outsiders dying tragically one after another. On the contrary, Lu Yan, the only remaining electric mage, couldn't bear it anymore. She turned around and ran away in panic. She also threw 2 thunderballs and hit Nei's face. The lightning flashed between the terrifying features. Running around, but without any harm. Magic immunity. Magic immunity. Ah, Lu Yan was so frightened that she peed when she saw this. Magic immunity. Nei stretched out his paw and wiped his face, then he jumped up suddenly with a grin on his face, and a hungry tiger pounced on him, knocking Lu Yan down to the ground and holding her hands and feet with his paws. What are you going to do? Lu Yan looked at Nex's terrifying face, feeling extremely frightened. Nex opened his big mouth, bit down hard on her open breast, and then pulled up, drawing blood and flesh. -7,389, bleeding effect triggered, poison spread. Mistgrass. All the women present subconsciously touched their chests, feeling a sense of phantom pain. Professor Lu Yan has died, dropped experience, 18,000, dropped equipment, electric staff platinum level. I have to say that the experience dropped by professionals is still very delicious. 5 seconds left, hold on for 5 more seconds, just 5 seconds. Lin Moxuan crossed his swords, his skin was extremely red, and his pores were filled with mist. Power was rising within him. There are still 12 personal guards who should be able to carry it through. Wonderful battle, now it's our turn. The captain of the City Lord's personal guard spoke leisurely. He had seen the intensity of the battle just now, and it was far worse than them. The only thing that needs attention is that the hooded woman's charged black arrows and the igniting green fire gave them a great sense of threat. Eliminate the threat first. The captain of the City Lord's personal guard led his men and charged straight at the Dark Ranger. Yellow Spring's right hand. The world has changed in Qinzi's eyes, and the soul can be seen with the naked eye. He casually grabbed a handful of the souls of the Holy Royal Family and pressed them hard on the Dark Ranger's chest. Soul 1, Soul 1, Soul 1, Soul -1. A full 100 souls were consumed. Yellow Spring stores souls, 49,873 50,000ths. It will overflow if you don't use it anymore. Lost and Reborn, activate. The charged arrows, which were originally burning with soul flames, changed again. The soul flame actually began to crystallize, eventually covering the entire arrow. Countless twisted and painful faces are forever engraved in the crystal. Soul crystal. A sufficient amount of soul fire is condensed together to form an eternal soul crystal, with a range of +1,000 kilometers need to sense the target unit in advance damage of +100,000, and can penetrate the defense and directly attack the soul, with plus soul damage 5,000, and causes the soul crystallization effect. The enemy's body becomes stiff and the consciousness cannot control the body. The duration is 3 seconds and the number of uses is 1/1. Death Raider, activate. Consumption of 1 soul, strength +5 random, recovery of 1,000 health mana. 100 souls, from quantitative to qualitative changes, Qinzi's attribute bonus is also very exaggerated. Strength +175, agility +225, intelligence +100. Call out. The charged arrows crystallized from the soul shot out suddenly. The vibrations it makes in the air seem to affect the soul, making people extremely uncomfortable. The face of the captain of the City Lord's personal guard changed drastically, and the danger alarm in his mind began to sound. He tried to avoid in panic, but the charged arrow suddenly passed through his chest, leaving a big hole. -130,000, with soul damage and soul crystallization. -5,000. The captain of the City Lord's personal guard suddenly widened his eyes, his pupils gradually became dull, and then he lay straight back. Congratulations, you killed a captain of the Holy Royal City Lord's guards and gained experience, 55,000. The charged arrows did not stop, but penetrated 3 members of the guards one after another, and finally sank into the city wall. minus 12,203, incidental soul damage, incidental soul crystallization. Minus 5,000, minus 11,832, incidental soul damage, incidental soul crystallization. Minus 5,000. Congratulations, you killed a member of the Holy Royal City Lord's Guards and gained experience, 30,000. Congratulations, you killed a captain of the Holy Royal City Lord's Guards and gained experience, 31,000. The 3 members of the guards also fell straight down. Lin Moxuan saw the fallen City Lord's bodyguard in shock from the corner of his eye. Huh. I have 3 seconds left for my special code. At the same time, Nei was still eating Lu Yan's body, one arm at a time, and one thigh at a time. Ghoul next swallowed the right leg of professional Lu Yan, gaining evolution level plus 100, agility attribute plus 100, and bow proficiency plus 300. Ghoul next swallows the right shoulder of professional Lu Yan, gaining evolution plus 100, agility attribute plus 100, and bow proficiency plus 300. So many attributes added. Qin Zi was a little surprised, but he should deal with the enemy in front of him first. Huang Quan once again pulled out a handful of souls with his right hand, about 100 souls, and then pointed towards Nex. Since it is a remote injection, 6 souls are lost during the process. Lost and reborn, activate. Nex raised his head and let out a cry, his claws and teeth crystallizing in his soul. Dark Ranger is used per time, and it has a 20-minute time limit. The damage bonus is reduced to 50,000. The soul damage is still 5,000, but the movement speed and attack speed are increased by 300%. Death Raider, activate. Strength plus 325, agility plus 55, intelligence plus 120. Next turn to look at the remaining guards of the City Lord, with rainbow-colored soul light flowing in his eyes. The members of the guards subconsciously took a step back. My core skills are finally activated. Lin Moxuan was full of blood and looked majestic. But he didn't dare to shout loudly. The core skill Berserker's Fury was finally activated successfully. Lin Moxuan's body was gushing with blood, his muscles were bulging, and his veins were hideous. He felt power surging in his body, and bloodthirsty impulses occupied his mind. The power that broke through the critical point made him feel good, as if he could smash any enemy to pieces. It can be said that his skill is to sacrifice his sanity to gain extremely strong combat power. A series of subsequent secondary skills are also based on this mechanism. If he fights as usual, he will definitely rush into the enemy very bravely. But now he stood on the ground full of minced meat, fell into silence, and behaved very well behaved. At this time, the screams of the members of the Holy Royal Family's personal guards suddenly came from the side. Lin Moxuan turned his head to look, his breath suddenly suffocated, his legs couldn't help but trembled, and he knelt on the ground. Brother Qin, I was wrong. We are all human beings, and we are all from Linhai City. If you spare my life, I will definitely repay your kindness in the future. I can't see Taishan. If I knew you were so strong, I don't dare to come even if I have 100 courages. Why don't you just give me a break and spare my life, please? The berserker who was said to have had his IQ halved is now so sane. Who said I was the executioner just now? Qin Zi walked forward with his hands behind his back and a smile. He actually left Lin Moxuan behind on purpose. After all, there was a lot of information that he had no way of knowing, so he could only ask people from the enemy camp. I am, brother, I am the executioner. How pitiful the Bobo people are. They used to live diligently in their own homes, but then the Holy Royal Family broke in, burned, killed, and looted. They did almost everything. In the end, they even occupied he entered other people's cities, lived in them openly, and sold them like slaves. Bad, so bad. These Holy Royal Families deserve to die. Lin Moxuan said indignantly. It was as if he had witnessed the whole process with his own eyes. Qin Zi was stunned for a moment, and then said, your moral standards are quite flexible. Where? Lin Moxuan was actually humble. Let me ask you a few questions. If you answer them truthfully, I can consider letting you live. Okay, just ask. Even if there are 100 questions, I will answer them with all my heart. Well, first of all, it's the question of General Black Sun. Tell me everything about him. General Black Sun is the strongest boss in this area, so he must be prepared. I know this. I got my camp mission from General Black Sun, and I know a lot about all aspects of him. Lin Moxuan shouted excitedly. Okay, come and listen. General Black Sun is suffering from a strange serious illness, which has caused his body to become deformed, with layers of fat on top of each other, and he has also lost his excretion port. Qinzi, is that what I think? No, how do you know this kind of thing? I have done missions in General Black Sun's mansion for a period of time before, and participated in Lee's company's research meeting on the path to divine transformation. We all agreed that General Black Sun was a failure, so that's why he came out of the castle. If he succeeds, he will turn into a cocoon like the Holy King, waiting to emerge into a higher level life form. Oh, I understand, but what use does what you said do to me? General Black Sun is very powerful. It is so powerful that it makes people despair. He is almost immortal. In addition, it is now on nightmare difficulty. General Black Sun's strength has increased to an incredible level. Let me put it bluntly. With your current fighting power, you will be sent away if you go. Lin Moxuan shouted excitedly. The Lee Company once held a meeting to study ways to deal with General Black Sun, and finally came to the conclusion that General Black Sun cannot be killed. After hearing this, Qinzi slowly frowned. If you follow what he said, wouldn't it be cool to meet General Black Sun face to face? Even if General Black Sun's body is penetrated, he can recover quickly. The Lee Company finally found a way, which is to use General Black Sun's physical defects to make him collapse from the inside out. He has no excretion outlet. The fat all over his body is not breathable, and if the last remaining opening is blocked, he will explode. Quote. It seems, there is some truth to it. Qinzi looked thoughtful. General Black Sun and the castle were the final boss pictures of this area, which was indeed very strange. You have found the method to kill General Black Sun, can you let me go now? Lin Moxuan immediately asked expectantly. Wait a minute, I have one last question. Since Lee's company has developed a method to kill General Black Sun, they couldn't have given up such a good reward, so why didn't they kill him in the end? Not strong enough. With the help of some unique props, it shouldn't be difficult to block a boss's mouth, right? Lin Moxuan's expression froze instantly. Even now, you are still lying to me. I'm not lying to you, everything I said is true. If you have lie detection tools or skills, you can use them on me. Well, you did not lie, but you ignored a key thing, which is the ancient disease studied by the castle. Qinzi sneered. A trace of fear flashed in Lin Moxuan's eyes, and then he shook his head quickly and said, I don't know about ancient diseases. You can usually find out about these things after changing jobs and embarking on the path of divine transformation. I am not qualified now. Are you going to say it or not? I really do not know. Next, I leave it to you. Professor Lin Moxuan has died, experience dropped, 20,000, equipment dropped, bloodthirsty double blades platinum level. Announcement. The 7th professional team of Lee's company was completely wiped out in the Nightmare level main dungeon Dusk Plains. Announcement. The 7th professional team of Lee's company was completely wiped out in the Nightmare level main dungeon Dusk Plains. The team of professionals who caused trouble were finally all killed. Qinzi's face was still heavy. What exactly is the so-called ancient disease? If you can't figure this out, you won't be able to defeat the super boss, General Black Sun. And from the look in Lin Moxuan's eyes just now, he clearly knew some key information about the ancient disease, but he didn't even say anything about it. Qinzi didn't believe he was so spineless. This proves that the punishment for revealing the secret of an ancient disease is more terrifying than being eaten by a ghoul. The water inside is a bit deep. It won't work anymore. I need to use some powerful skills to suppress the shock. Half an hour later, all the Holy Royal Family troops outside the city were wiped out. Faction mission. Capture the invaded city and liberate the Bobo people. Successfully completed. Experience reward. 500,000. Equipment reward. Star quality equipment treasure box 1. Other rewards. Perfect quality treasure box 1. Enjoy city economic share 1. Main dungeon Twilight Plains. The first stage is completed. You can enter and exit freely without penalty. Announcement. Qinzi's team completed the main mission, the first phase, and the world line changed by 5%. Reward. World line treasure box 1. Qinzi was stunned by the continuous prompts. Ah, is the lineup mission completed just like that? I haven't killed my marine skeleton army yet. Wait a minute, isn't this amount of experience wrong? It stands to reason that the experience of the Holy Royal Army is 100 times that of ordinary people. After killing them all, it should be enough for me to advance to 3 or 4 levels in a row. Then, he turned to look at the colonial city. The Holy Royal people who once filled the streets had now turned into minced meat on the ground. The only remaining members of the Holy Royal family were hiding in the house and shivering, waiting for the mermaid skeleton to open the box for them. Hundreds of Bobo people in the slave market knelt on the ground, crying and looking at the bloody scene around them. They shouted loudly to thank the mermaid skeleton, and the awe and gratitude in their eyes seemed to be real. If they were to take over the city again, they would erect stone statues of skulls and even worship the skulls as gods. At the same time, slaves Bobo also came out of the Holy Royal family's house. They came to the street and looked at the city that suddenly suffered a natural disaster, feeling a little confused. There are thousands of Bobo people in total, which should be enough to reproduce and take charge in the future. As for outside the city, the large army of the Holy Royal family retreated like a tide. They seemed to have figured it out. They wanted to forcibly capture the ocean skeleton army, but the chance of winning was too low, so they chose to retreat and run away. Among them, the bamboo pole-shaped city lord ran the fastest and disappeared in a flash. What a pity, my experience. Calculating the time, we have spent 3 days in the dungeon. The first stage is completed. I plan to go out and take a rest. What do you think? Chin-Zi turned to look at everyone. In fact, he is actually in good condition, but he is rather greedy for the special skills Catwoman mentioned, and he has received so many rewards from the settlement just now. He also needs to sort it out, including the Shining Level Equipment Treasure Chest and the so-called World Line Treasure Chest. Research. Liu Yang. It all depends on my adoptive father's instructions. Those of us who care about soy sauce must have the consciousness to do soy sauce. Sun Yunlong. Me too. Catwoman. If you don't mind, I can try to contact the people above and apply for you the skills collected by the Jolin organization. There are cats with special skills in it. Chin-Zi nodded immediately, waiting for your words. The skills he bought from Lee's company before were the most rubbish ones, and the price would have doubled. If it is a powerful skill in itself, coupled with the skill upgrade system, it is simply unimaginable what kind of effect it will have in the end. Mu Shui hesitated and said, actually, I can do it too. Forget it, you go and get the skills from Catwoman first. I will contact you if I have any good skills in the future. I still have access to some upper level resources. This is my reward for you. Okay, no problem, add V when you go out. Chin-Zi gestured to her. In any case, the first phase of occupying the colonial city is a successful conclusion. Go back and get some powerful skills. Maybe by then we will be able to overthrow General Black Sun. Chin-Zi and others did not leave immediately, but waited for the village chief of Poisonous Fog Village to come over and take over the entire city. This is our city, we finally got it back. The village chief looked at the messy city and burst into tears. Grandpa Village Chief, don't we have to hide here and there in the future? There is still a house to live in. Xiao Chongchong's eyes widened and she asked in surprise. No need, no need. Let's live in our own house from now on. Leaving the Black Abyss dungeon, please wait. Settling experience points. Congratulations, you have been upgraded to LV.21, all attributes +1, free attributes +4, blood volume +1000, mana volume +500. Your Despair Naval Cemetery has not been recovered, do you want to recover it? Note, it cannot be recovered outside the copy. Not taking it back. There is no time limit for the Cemetery of Despair Sea battle. Just like the hero level summons, there is always the same one over and over again. And with its special form, it is difficult for the Holy Royal family to threaten it, so it stays above the colonial city to temporarily protect the entire city, until the colonial city was built. There was a distortion in front of my eyes, and the familiar connection of the Black Abyss appeared in front of my eyes. The inexplicable sense of intimacy comes to my face. After experiencing the terrible environment of the Bobo people and the Holy Royal family, when I returned to Blue Star, I suddenly felt that reality was very beautiful. To put it bluntly, their productivity is too low, almost like that of Blue Star in the Middle Ages. Even excrement cannot be processed. At this time, the prompt box appears again. During the time you enter the main dungeon Dusk Plains, the Manor Dungeon produces a total of 1.27 million experience points. As the dungeon ruler, you will receive 5% additional experience, for a total of 60,000 experience points. Oh, I forgot about this. A massive amount of experience poured in all at once, and the experience bar immediately jumped to LV.21, 41%. Everyone is tired. Let's go home and rest first. Oh, by the way, let's add V to each other. Chin-Z took out his mobile phone and exchanged V numbers with the team members. He would have to develop some powerful skills in the future. Brother Chin-Z, I'm waiting for your news. Waiting around the clock. Catwoman shook her phone at Chin-Z, then took 2 steps and left while holding on to the wall. Lu Yong, does she like you? What are you thinking about? I'm just trading some skills. Mu Shui glanced at Chin-Z, and then said, I owe you a favor, and I will repay you in the future. Then, her invisibility was activated and she disappeared into the air. Hey, why do I feel that Mu Shui is also interested in you? How did you tell? Men's intuition. Chin-Z. At the same time, after the announcement appeared, there was an immediate uproar on the internet. Chin-Z was all on the front pages of major media outlets in Linhai City. That man accomplished another feat. Chin-Z passed the first stage of the nightmare level main dungeon. A miracle happened again. Everyone thought he would definitely die, but after entering the nightmare level main line copy, he came out intact again. According to polls, Chin-Z's popularity has reached 99% in Linhai City, and his favorable rating is 97%. Following the announcement of the death of Lee's company's professional team, online discussions became even more lively. Ha ha ha, Lee's company has finally hit the wall this time. The announcement of the death of Lee's company's professional team and the announcement of Chin-Z's first stage of customs clearance were heard one after another. I'm afraid there is something going on here. What else could it be? It must have been a team of professionals from Lee Company targeting Chin-Z and then being killed. Ah, these people in Lee's company are just hypocrites. The era of their dominance is coming to an end. Have you noticed that the black lightning above the city seems to be missing? This proves that the control of the nightmare level mainline copy is changing hands. In the Lee Company building, a black twisted vortex appeared in the space. Li Xinggang and others walked out in a state of embarrassment. Golden diamond-shaped crystals appeared between the eyebrows of many of them. Among them, Li Xinggang is the most powerful. Golden stripes have extended from the middle eye of the golden diamond-shaped crystal, just like the sun is shining. This is a precursor to entering the second stage of divine transformation. Ha ha ha, it's exactly what I thought. This nightmare level mainline copy is not in vain. Although Li Xinggang looked tired, he couldn't help laughing proudly. If you want to inherit some special powers or special professions in the dungeon, only the nightmare level can inherit them completely. In other words, the nightmare level is the closest to the true state of the Black Abyss world. Every time I transform, my basic attributes will double. With the second transformation, my basic attributes will probably exceed 2,000. With the addition of special professions, I can even go to the central district to have a try. Li Xinggang looked yearning, as if that was the truly exciting stage. A ticket is required to enter the central area, and the right to control the main dungeon in Linhai City is the pass, which he already holds in his hands. Husband, congratulations. Our son is still squatting in jail. I went to see him 2 days ago. He has lost weight and his eyes are much darker. The beautiful woman walked over and couldn't help but wipe her tears. HMPH, this unfilial son needs to be taught a lesson, otherwise he will never be a great person in the future. Li Xinggang suddenly became angry when he thought of how cowardly his son was in prison. That's your son. Needless to say, my family will be here in 5 days. I was informed in advance that if I can make some achievements in the nightmare level copy, I can also get through this difficulty. And this Chin-Z actually killed one of my professional teams. He was killed when I went in to find him. Li Xinggang said rather violently, with a ruthless look in his eyes. The beautiful woman covered her mouth and looked in horror at the man in front of her who had been sleeping with her for 10 years. He seemed to be a stranger, and all the familiarity was gone. What are you looking at? I'll kill you too, Li Xinggang said without raising his head. The beautiful woman covered her mouth and backed away, not daring to take a breath. She didn't know what happened to her husband in the copy. It's okay to enter the dusk plane after so many years. At the same time, Tang Zhu was reviewing and approving documents in the mayor's office. The professional mall has been initially established. Although it only has level 1 to 15 equipment and props, it can still meet the needs of most low-level professionals. Then with the manor copy as the cornerstone, everything prospered. At this time, the announcement that Qin Zi's team had completed the first stage sounded, which immediately made her smile. I knew that even if it was a nightmare-level main dungeon, Qin Zi would definitely be able to open his own path. The black lightning over the city is weakening, which means that Qin Zi is beginning to snatch control of Li Xinggang. Should I rush over and celebrate in person? Isn't this not good? You just came out of the dungeon, and you still have to deal with people like me. How about just making a phone call? Doesn't that seem informal enough? Tang Zhu fell into deep thought. At this moment, a royal sister's voice suddenly sounded next to her. What are you thinking about? Tang Zhu suddenly became excited. Someone entered the office and she didn't even know. The skill is activated subconsciously. However, when she saw the person coming, she immediately shouted in panic, "By Lord Beatty, how did you come from the central district to our small place in Linhai City?" A woman wearing white boots and a royal face was sitting on the desk, looking at her with a smile on her face. Of course there is someone worthy of my coming. Unfortunately, my level is no longer able to enter the main dungeon. Otherwise, I would just help him clear the level and then take him to the central area. Tang Zhu looked at the opponent's LV.45 and silently recited a word of confirmation in his heart. So this time you. That's right, I'm here just for Qin Zi. The Li family may stab him secretly. No one on your side can resist it. I'm here to be on the safe side. The woman named Bai Di said with a smile. At the same time, Qin Zi had returned home. Tang Zhu once proposed to change him to a villa at the official expense. But he never paid attention to it. Moving is so troublesome. As soon as he sat down and before he could take a breath, a prompt box appeared in front of him. Dark Ranger Summoning Technique, Right Pointing Arrow, Dark Queen Summoning Technique. Qin Zi. After just a while, the ranger turned into a queen. Or is the Dark Ranger actually the queen? No matter what, it's all about being noble. The mana consumption of the Dark Queen's summoning spell has also successfully reached 5,000 points. Qin Zi thought for a while and decided to raise the magic dragon staff to take a look at the queen's face. Come out, my Dark Queen. From all directions, high-pitched chanting suddenly came. It seemed like there were countless sacrifices surrounding it. The neighbors next door couldn't bear it anymore and started shouting angrily. Fortunately, the chanting ended quickly, a group of darkness appeared out of thin air, and the woman in a gorgeous dress slowly fell down. With scarlet eyes and towering jaws, isn't this the Dark Ranger? It's just that she is no longer wearing a leather outfit that only covers 3 points, but a dark and gorgeous long skirt with gilded patterns on it. On his head is a golden crown. She is no longer hot and slim, but has become noble and intellectual. My lord, after the Queen of Darkness appeared, she did not kneel down like before. Instead, he gave an aristocratic gesture, holding up his skirt and bending his knees dexterously. Dark Ranger, I really want to know what you have been through. Qin Zi couldn't help but complain in his heart. Dark Queen. Heroic Summoned Unit. Level. LV.21 cannot surpass Summoner. HP. 75,000. Attributes. Strength 3721, Agility 5783, Intelligence 5890. Skill 1. Darkness and Loneliness. The Queen of Darkness has control over darkness. As the chanting time increases by 1 to 10 seconds, the range of controlled darkness will also increase by 1 to 10 kilometers. Enemies in the darkness will be blinded and banned 100% of the time. Loss of speech, deafness and a series of negative effects, and make people feel absolutely lonely. Note: continuous chanting is required when releasing, it cannot be moved, and it can be broken after interrupting. Skill 2. Dark Arrow. The Queen of Darkness takes out her exclusive weapon, the Queen's Longbow, and uses the power of darkness to cover the arrows. It can be charged for 1 to 10 seconds to cause 30,000 to 100,000 damage, or it can release splitting arrows, causing a shower of dark arrows. The damage is reduced to 70%. After being damaged by arrows, the enemy will enter a dark and lonely state, and will turn into a dark skeleton archer after death. Skill 3. Death Knights. Summon a team of Death Knights to guard the Queen. Skill 4. Dark Resurrection Cross. 5 minutes after the death of an ally, the Queen of Darkness can order it to resurrect with 50% health and 50% mana. At the same time, it will gain a random dark skill. Cooling time. 1 day. Introduction. Your queen is back. The Queen of Darkness has a very attractive appearance and has the charm of a mature woman. If you take a photo and put it on the internet, the officials will definitely say that it is a high-end face. When he was the Dark Ranger, his face was still a bit immature. But when it comes to the Queen of Darkness, her face is completely elongated, with a hint of charm in the corners of her eyes, and her scarlet eyes add some evil character to her, with an inhuman gaze. There is some time span between the two. I am afraid that it took many stories before the Dark Ranger ascended the throne and became the queen. Qinzi did not withdraw his skills, but kept the Queen of Darkness by his side to get acquainted with each other. As for Nex, forget it. The more times a skill is upgraded, the higher the intermediate upgrade level will be. The Queen of Darkness has been promoted to thousands of skill levels, and then she switched it to the elite warriors of the Thunder Skeleton clan. He had a hunch that the promotion of the skeleton summoning technique would bring him a lot of surprises. Even if there is no promotion, the skill level will obviously improve the summoned objects. The Queen of Darkness walked slowly in the room, seeming to be lamenting the memories of the past. For Qinzi, it was just a matter of a moment. The Dark Ranger upgraded to the Queen of Darkness and that was it. But for the Queen of Darkness, endless years may have passed. Then, the Queen of Darkness tiptoed and sat in a dark mist, her scarlet eyes shining in it, waiting for Qinzi's next instruction. Why do you feel like things are different and people are different? Qinzi tilted his head and immediately began to receive the reward. Faction mission: seize the invaded city and save the Bobo people. Whether to receive rewards: yes. Faction mission reward. Experience reward: 500,000. Equipment reward: Star Quality Equipment Treasure Box 1. Other rewards: Perfect Quality Treasure Box 1, Enjoy City Economic Share 1. Faction points: 100,000. $500,000 of experience poured in all at once. Qinzi felt a white light flash around him, and his body changed slightly. Congratulations, you have been upgraded to LV.22, all attributes +2, free attributes +6, blood volume +1000, mana volume +500. The free attributes are still the same, just add some intelligence to them all. But the skill points brought by the level up are not as many as those given by the Death Raider who controls the soul. If you don't consume a soul, you will get 5 random points. If you consume 100 souls, it will be 500 experience points. It's so terrifying. Qinzi. Title: Master of the Manor Dungeon. Level: LV.22. HP volume: 25,300, mana volume: 16,500. Attributes: Strength 432, Agility 270, Intelligence 417. Skills: Dark Queen Summoning, Thunder Skeleton Clan Summoning, Ghoul Nex Summoning, Forbidden Touch Summoning, Extreme Cold Magic Armor, Desperate Sea Battle Cemetery Summoning. Click to expand to view secondary skills. Wonquan Body Guidance Technique. Click to expand and view secondary skills. Equipment: Dragon Staff, Nightmare Ring, Scarlet Armor, Scarlet Boots, Scarlet Cloak. If it weren't for the Death Raider's random +5 attribute points, I probably wouldn't be able to break through 200 now. Since the attributes were randomly added, the Strength attribute ended up being higher than the Intelligence attribute. If you want to increase attribute points, you still have to rely on additional benefits. It's really difficult to become stronger with the attributes given by upgrades. There are also too few skills. There are 4 summoning spells, 1 defensive magic, and 2 core skill chains. You have to have hundreds of skills anyway, and then just hit the enemy on the head during battle. Quote. And each of these skills consumes a lot of mana. When you change jobs at level 25, inheriting the heritage of the Bobo people should be able to solve the mana consumption problem. After all, the village chief calls them the source of magic. There are also equipments, all of which are level 15 and need to be replaced together. Chin-Zi looked at his own panel and analyzed his strengths and weaknesses. The summary is just one sentence. There are many skills to develop, and the mana consumption needs to be solved. But when it comes to equipment, it is naturally the star-quality equipment treasure box. Chin-Zi took out the treasure box with great expectation and slammed it on the ground. There are actually nebulae rotating on the treasure chest, which is extremely beautiful. Whether you want to open the star-quality equipment treasure box. Chin-Zi looked at this sentence and hesitated immediately. I am now level 22, and the equipment I purchased is level 20. Why not wait until level 25 before opening it, so that it will be level 25 star equipment and save many years of detours? As for other treasure chests, the same principle applies. Forget it, I'll bear with you. World Line rewards, whether to receive them. Yes, get. World Line Treasure Box 1. This world line is quite interesting. Does it mean that the Black Abyss dungeon is a whole big world? Bobo and the Holy Royal Family, as the main dungeon of Linhai City, account for a high proportion in the world line. Is it possible that the ultimate goal of entering the Black Abyss dungeon is to gain access to the world line? Changes. What changes will happen to the main dungeon in the central area? Chin-Zi suddenly felt that the Black Abyss copy was not just about upgrading and killing monsters. It could be said that there were many mysteries in it. However, no matter what, he can just crush it with his upgraded skills, and even the fog can be destroyed directly by him. Later, Chin-Zi sent a message to Catwoman. Chin-Zi, what are you doing now? Catwoman, Cat is selling potions at the Abyss Junction. Chin-Zi was a little surprised and typed a question. Didn't you get a reward for completing the level? Catwoman, I have platinum level equipment, but it was taken away by the superiors. Chin-Zi, why did they take your equipment? Catwoman, any equipment we obtain must be turned in, meow. Chin-Zi, then you are no different from a black slave. You just downloaded the Nightmare Dungeon and you still have to work. Catwoman, hey, there's no other way, every organization is like this now. If you don't do it, someone else will. Chin-Zi, go there tomorrow to get the skills first, and then kill everyone. Catwoman, okay. Ha. Chin-Zi locked the screen of his phone, feeling sleepy coming over him like a tide. With the Queen of Darkness standing by, he felt very at ease. As soon as my head hit the pillow, I fell into an extremely sweet sleep. After sleeping until he woke up naturally, Chin-Zi slowly opened his eyes. He said that he had killed all the Jolin organization, which was not groundless. First of all, this is an underground illegal organization, and there are strange regulations that require body modification to join. Catwoman must have been a good girl before, and she accepted Catwoman's animal transformation. That's why it became like this. The most important thing is that body modification is expressly prohibited by the Dragon Kingdom. Just from this point, Chin-Zi felt that Jolin organization was not a good thing. Specific situation, specific analysis. I'd better go over and take a good look. Certainly, he definitely wasn't doing it for money for his skills. When power is concentrated on individuals, it becomes more difficult for the authorities to control them. Chin-Zi made an appointment to meet Catwoman in front of a shopping mall square. People come and go here, and there are many handsome men and beautiful women. When Chin-Zi saw Catwoman, she was sitting on a wooden bench in a daze. Denim shorts and dazzling white straight long legs give people a beautiful feeling. Youthful and beautiful. When she saw Chin-Zi, she immediately smiled in surprise, jumped down from the wooden chair, and waved to Chin-Zi while jumping up and down, attracting frequent glances from the passers-by around her. Here, you're quite early. Chin-Zi walked over with a smile, then turned to look around. The Jolin organization is in this mall. No, meow, the Jolin organization does not exist in reality. Doesn't exist in reality. Yes, meow, the Jolin organization is an underground trading organization. It is prohibited by the official order, and Lee's company will also try its best to suppress it. There is no place to stay in Linhai City, so we can only use props to create a new space. All members of the organization are hiding in Jolin organization. You have so much fun. Let's go, I'll go in and see if I have any good skills. Well, please come with me. Catwoman doesn't seem to have any resentment towards the Kalen organization. Everything is natural, or taken for granted. No matter whether it was handing in equipment or just coming out of the dungeon and having to carry a suitcase and work illegally, there was no complaint at all. In the end, there wasn't even any salary payment. If it were placed on an ordinary person, he would have jumped 3 feet high. Strange, so strange. Qin-Zi recalled that when she was in the Dusk Plane, Catwoman's emotional reactions were considered normal, such as the fear when she first arrived in the poisonous fog village, and the strong stench when she arrived in the colonial city. These were all different from other people reacted the same way. But facing the Jolin organization, she became hardworking, or rather numb. Is it possible? Qin-Zi looked at Catwoman's slender back, and his heart moved slightly. The Kalin organization mind controls Catwoman. In the ordinary real world of the previous life, there were many cases of mind control. But in this world with extraordinary power, mind control is even simpler, and it can be done with just one skill. Suddenly, the tail emerging from the back of Catwoman's jeans swayed back and forth in the air. It looks like it was cut open and then let out. Does this thing grow out or is it inserted? Qin-Zi subconsciously stretched out his hand, and Catwoman suddenly jumped up. Ah, so sensitive. Ahem, sorry, I just couldn't help myself when I saw the tail. Qin-Zi coughed dryly. He recalled the feeling of his hand just now. It must have grown up. Don't touch my tail anymore. Catwoman warned with a red face. Understand, my tail is very sensitive and my hair will explode when someone touches it. Catwoman's attitude softened a little, and she reached out to touch her tail. The location of Jolin's organization was very mysterious. Catwoman took him turning left and right in the mall, and finally came to a staircase. She first looked around to make sure no one was there, then took out a blue crystal. Light is released from the crystal, and distortion and fluctuations appear in the space in front of it. Go in and it's Jolin's organization, meow. They already know you're coming. Good, I'm going in, Catwoman said, taking the first step towards the twisted space, and then disappeared into the stairwell. Qin-Zi followed closely and stepped in. The whole process is similar to the feeling of entering the Black Abyss dungeon. As soon as the eyes blur, you arrive at another place. It's just that the Jolin organization needs to keep moving forward. The dark corridor stretches into darkness. There are doors on both sides, and beside the doors stand transformed people. They are uniformly wearing loose blue clothes and white trousers, with their heads lowered and their hands clasped together. Those who didn't know thought they were praying for him. Underfoot was a woolen rug on which creatures of unknown significance were painted. Is this inside a building? Or is it underground? Qin-Zi couldn't tell because there were no windows or anything like that. At this time, a gentle male voice sounded next to him. Qin-Zi, welcome to your arrival, I have long admired your name. When I saw it today, it turned out to be extraordinary. He was indeed a man who could compete with the entire Lee Company on his own. We wanted to fight against the Lee Company just like you and rescue the oppressed people, but unfortunately our power was too weak. In the end we can only survive in this place. Qin-Zi turned around and saw a man also wearing blue clothes, looking at him with a smile, his eyes narrowed into a straight line. Catwoman stood behind him, her head lowered, her expression unclear. Surprisingly, his nose is similar to a lion's nose, very big. Shu Liang, Beastman, level, LV.23. I see that the name on your information panel is Shu Liang. Can I call you that? Of course. I heard Catwoman say you want to buy some special skills. Please let me take you there. Shu Liang said with a smile. Well, bring Catwoman with you. I'm a bit shy of strangers. Qin-Zi already felt something was wrong. The members of the Jolin organization were too obedient. It was so strong that he felt it was a bit like a pyramid scheme or a cult. Shu Liang seemed a little hesitant. In principle, she can't go with her, but since you ask so, of course you can. Shu Liang made an inviting gesture and immediately led the way. Qin-Zi nodded and followed closely, while the Jolin members on both sides turned their heads silently and watched him go away. After walking forward for about 5 minutes, it was a long and narrow corridor with the doors on both sides closed. Occasionally, you could hear strange noises or wild beast-like roars coming from inside, which was very strange. Our Jolin organization advocates changing ourselves to gain strength. Just like you saw me, I gained the explosive power of a lion. I can instantly knock down the enemy and then bite him to death. Shu Liang seemed to be afraid that Qinzi would misunderstand, followed by an explanation. If we carry out regular upgrades, ordinary people like us will never get ahead. Well, I can understand. That's good. Until a huge golden door appeared in front of everyone. Please come in. Shu Liang smiled slightly and then opened the golden door. Qinzi was surprised. He didn't expect that this small place had a cave. So I walked in with high expectations, but there was nothing inside. It's not even decorated, it's just a broken cave. You can vaguely see a huge statue in the shadows behind. In front of the huge statue, there is a stone table. A faint blue light is surrounding the stone table, and the skill book can be vaguely seen. This is the Undead skill book specially provided by our Jolin organization for you. Very rare and rare, hope you like it. As for the price, we can easily discuss it, or we can replace it with something else. Shu Liang smiled confidently. The skill book floats on the stone table out of thin air and rotates with the faint blue light. There is an extraordinary aura all over his body. Suck, sniff, sniff. Qinzi's eyes lit up when he saw it was a skill book. Ordinary skill books are made of thicker materials, but they don't have the benefits of automatically floating or even being surrounded by unknown brilliance. There may be some kind of device protecting the skill book, but the specific information cannot be viewed. Qinzi wanted to go up and find out, but Shu Liang kept talking beside him. This skill book was obtained by us, Jolin, at a great price. The higher-ups value it very much. At the same time, Brother Qinzi, we also admire your personal behavior. Not only did you clear the nightmare-level manor dungeon, but you also openly confronted Li's company. Go ahead, don't accept it. As for the price, you have to know that this ultra-rare undead skill book is very rare. Even a super aristocratic family will have to spend a lot of money to buy it. For the sake of you, Brother Qinzi, our Jolin organization decided to sell it to 98% of the auction price. How about you, are you very loyal? In addition, we hope that you can have your name in our organization, so that we don't have to hide in these corners. Of course, we will stand firmly behind you, openly challenge Li's company, and liberate all those who are oppressed. Professional. Qinzi. 2% discount, you are so generous. I have to add my name to you, are you taking me for granted? Qinzi was complaining crazily in his heart, but he still smiled and said, we will talk about the price later. Can you let me see the skill book first? Also, are there any restrictions on this skill book of yours? Why can't I see the information? Please let me finish, thank you. Shu Liang frowned slightly. This skill book is very precious and we need to treat it with caution. Yeah. Qinzi nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Hey, you are so impatient. We still want to sit down for a meal and have a good talk. Shu Liang sighed. Have you seen the statue in the darkness in front of you? That is actually the professional skill of our founder of Jolin. You can draw special abilities by erecting the statue. It also has effects such as shelter, and this skill book is in the shelter. If we successfully complete the transaction, the protection will be lifted. I see. I'll open the viewing restriction for you, so you can observe carefully. I have something else to do, let's go out for a while. Okay, go ahead. I promise not to touch or move around. Shu Liang turned around with a smile, and then his expression changed instantly. This Qinzi is not easy to fool. He walked out the door thoughtfully. Qinzi came to the skill book, and the sculpture behind seemed to be staring at him. The query ban is opened, and the skill book information is revealed. The smile on Qinzi's face froze, and then he became confused. Undead skill book. Bone art. Is this thing considered super rare? He can summon a lot of skeleton monsters at will. As he finished browsing the information in the skill book, he suddenly understood. This is not a summoning skill, but a necromancy spell. White bone technique. Summon the power of the undead, which can construct 3 burning skulls, 5 powerful thigh bones, 16 underground ribs, causing burning damage, kicking damage, and piercing damage to the enemy respectively, consuming 1000 mana points. Note: you can arrange the location of the bones by your own will. The ban is in effect and cannot be learned. This skill is somewhat similar to the Forbidden Touch summoning technique. You can arrange the release point at will. But it's not as awesome as Forbidden Touch. It can be released out of thin air, such as releasing burning skulls, and then chasing people to bite them. The leg bone suddenly appeared, kicked hard, and made some interception movements. The ribs were buried in the soil and used as traps. If any creature stepped into them, they would immediately shrink and pierce into the flesh. This summons is not the entire skeleton, but a certain bone part, and achieves some spell damage effects. This is the serious high-level undead skill. If you develop this skill later or combine it with several secondary skills, the intensity will be very high. This skill is indeed interesting. Qinzi nodded slightly to express his approval. But, where is the Shu Liang people? What is this guy doing? Qinzi frowned and looked around, and this guy never wanted to set the price. He undoubtedly wanted to ask for more money. Where was that Shu Liang just now? Qinzi looked at Catwoman. I don't know either, meow. Catwoman said sincerely, wagging her tail. I think he might want you to join us or support us, so he went to negotiate the price with some senior executives. But you just heard that the discount was 98%, and you clearly showed disdain. Ah, do I? Qinzi touched his face, then frowned and looked at the banned skill book. He thought for a moment, then raised the magic dragon staff in his hand. Come out, my dark queen. The sound of sacrificial chants sounded from all directions. The gorgeous figure of the Queen of Darkness slowly walked out of the darkness. My lord, Qinzi pointed to the skill book and said, can you take it out? Please allow me to try. The Queen of Darkness said, slowly raising her head, her scarlet eyes getting brighter and brighter. A group of darkness that can isolate all is slowly descending, until it completely covers the entire skill book. Immediately afterwards, the sculpture behind the stone table began to tremble, cracks appeared, and finally collapsed. Qinzi was very surprised. The power of the Dark Queen still has such an effect. Wouldn't it be very convenient to get some skills and equipment in the future? The Queen of Darkness stepped forward, her white and tender right hand reached into the darkness, and when she took it out, there was an extra skill book. A faint blue light swirled around her hand. White bone technique. Can be learned. Qinzi's eyes lit up and he immediately started studying. Countless white skeletons appeared in my mind. Congratulations, successful study. Resonance crystal, activate. Bone art right pointing arrow continuously upgrading right pointing arrow bone kingdom. Kingdom of bones. Awaken the power of the undead. Construct a kingdom made of bones, arm bone building, spine wall, skull spire, etc. Everything can be made of bones, causing continuous suppression of the undead system to the enemy, and at the same time causes functional damage to the bone building, consumption of mana, 8,000, duration, permanent. Cowhide plush. Qinzi looked at the introduction of Bone Kingdom skills in surprise. At this moment, he felt like a summoner of the undead. Pulling out a spine wall at random, it's exciting just thinking about it. The darkness dissipated, and the sculpture behind the stone table collapsed. Hey, what are you doing? The price hasn't been negotiated yet, why did you learn the skills? The idol, he broke the idol into pieces. He just took the skill book away. Hurry and keep an eye on him. I'll report it to the superiors. In the surrounding darkness, people wearing blue clothes suddenly appeared. When he saw the collapsed statue, he immediately pointed at Qinzi and shouted. Phew, a dark arrow pierced the forehead of one of them. Minus 137,890, infected with dark energy. The next second, the sound of chattering teeth was heard. A skeleton rose from his corpse. Gada gada gada, gada gada gada. The unique sound of bones colliding with skeleton monsters sounded. In the horrified eyes of the members of the Jolin organization, a skeleton arm with a dark luster suddenly protruded from the flesh. The pitch-black skeleton held its hands on the ground, and the entire pitch-black skeleton crawled out. Dark skeleton +1. The bones of the thunder skull are glowing with purple light, and the eye sockets are filled with tiny electric light, and it has self-awareness. The skeleton crawling out of the corpse in front of him was completely black, with empty eye sockets, making it look even more creepy. At the same time, it had no self-awareness and could only act according to orders, which made it look extremely clumsy. What is this? A skeleton. Necromancer. God, this is a necromancer, run away. I haven't spent all my money yet, and I don't want to turn into a skeleton. Quote. The members of the Jolin organization who appeared around them immediately turned around and ran outside. But before he could take 2 steps, a green light suddenly appeared in his eyes. A harsh whistle sounded immediately, and all the fleeing Jolin members stopped. What about dog training? Blow the whistle and stop everything. Will you bite me again later? The words were not spoken yet. All the members of the Jolin organization suddenly turned their heads to look at Qinzi, with fierce expressions on their faces and grinning teeth. Revealing two fangs that were definitely not human, saliva flowed from the corners of his mouth and pulled out long threads in the air. Qinzi, rabies. These members of the Jolin organization have obviously begun to lose their minds, and their bodies have transformed into animals to varying degrees. Some look like goats, with exaggerated horns and eyes that have turned into horizontal pupils. Some have their mouths protruding forward, and their fangs push out the original teeth, turning the beasts into weird tigers. What's more, scales appeared on the surface of the skin, and then it lay on the ground, hissing like a lizard. Even Catwoman was not immune. She lay on the ground in pain, her beautiful straight legs covered with down. She might be using her will to resist, so she didn't grin at Qinzi. Amidst countless ferocious glances, Qinzi said calmly, "Dark Queen, as you command, my lord." The Queen of Darkness responded softly, and at the same time she raised the Queen's longbow again, with the royal crown logo printed on it. Immediately afterwards, the dark arrows were like machine guns. Whoosh, 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 they were launched one after another. Due to the pursuit of speed, the damage will be reduced. The Beastman roared and attacked Qinzi. The sheep transformed into humans rushed the fastest and died without any warning. His head suddenly jumped back and he lay motionless on the ground. Minus 78,230. Congratulations, you killed a sheep turned human and gained experience, 100. The dark skeleton monster stretched out its skeleton hand from his flesh and blood, and then crawled out. Dark skeleton +1. The other grinning beastmen also fell down one after another. Motionless, unable to get up again. Minus 78,629. Minus 79,042. Minus 80,453. Congratulations, you killed an oxman and gained experience, 100. Congratulations, you killed a dog turned human and gained experience, 100. Congratulations, you killed a snake and gained experience, 100. Dark skeleton monsters crawled out of them one after another, with no emotion in their empty eye sockets. Dark skeleton monster +1, dark skeleton monster +1, dark skeleton monster +1, dark skeleton monster +1, dark skeleton monster +1. The whole hall quickly became quiet, and there was no longer any noise from the beastly people. A total of 25 dark skeleton monsters stood in front of Qinzi in a twisted manner. Dark skeleton monster. Normal summons. Level. LV.22 cannot surpass the summoner. HP. 27,000. Attributes. Strength 1079, Agility 672, Intelligence 137. Skill 1. Searching for strangers. The dark skeleton monster can sense individuals with strong vitality. Hunger prompts it to devour flesh and blood to gain vitality. After devouring a certain number of individuals, it can evolve into the next stage of the giant skeleton. Skill 2. Dark Spread. Enemies killed by the dark skeleton monster will be infected with dark power, and a dark skeleton monster with the same attributes will be produced from it. Skill 3. Chase Heavy Attack. The speed at which the dark skeleton monster runs towards the enemy is doubled, and the damage dealt by the attack is doubled, causing a stun effect. Introduction. The skeleton monster under the Queen of Darkness, a master at expanding territory. Within a year, these things are everywhere. No, you little skeletons can also evolve. Why are you embarrassing necks? At this time, 25 dark skeletons were looking at the Queen of Darkness with their empty eye sockets raised. The Queen of Darkness looked at him. Spread, kill, devour to your heart's content. Qinzi opened his arms and shouted loudly. Anyway, this area is independent of reality, even if it is full of skeleton monsters, it doesn't matter. Moreover, these dark skeleton monsters are equivalent to treasure hunter monsters. If they find equipment or the like, they can remotely notify the Queen of Darkness, which is a pleasure. Gotta. The dark skeleton monster received the instruction and walked outside looking for human traces. At the same time, Shu Liang was walking towards the animal transformation hall with a solemn face. He just had a meeting with Jalan's senior management and discussed the price of skills, but Jalan's senior management agreed that this skill must be used to bind Qinzi and the Jalan organization together. This gave him a hard time. How could a character who could clear the nightmare dungeon cooperate with the Jalan organization? As long as he is willing, the 5 super aristocratic families and the officials of the central district can enter and get more and better resources. The top management of Jalan ordered him that even if he couldn't reach an agreement, he would still have to use the negative method. Shu Liang lowered his head and glanced at the crystal ball in his hand. The effect of the prop was to subtly change and confuse specific units, and to implant some simple and useful information. Coupled with the transformation function of the Beast Transformation Hall, the success rate was actually very high. But he was worried that Qinzi would be too vigilant and expose all this. This is a player who has cleared the Nightmare Dungeon. Even if the levels are similar, he is afraid that he won't be able to handle it. Shu Liang stood still in front of the golden door, his heart pounding. He took a deep breath, then reached out and pushed open the golden door. At this time, a strange sound of gada, 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 sounded. The dark skeleton with empty eyes scrambled to squeeze out of the crack in the door. They turned eagerly towards him with outstretched skeletal hands. Shu Liang looked horrified and subconsciously took 2 steps back. No, where did this skeleton come from? Wait a minute, there is a summoner of the undead in the hall who has cleared the nightmare level dungeon. Could it be that? In the flash of lightning, Shu Liang hurriedly shouted towards the door. You don't want to learn the skill book anymore. You still don't like it. I'll give you another one. Whoa, Qinzi inside the door suddenly raised his head, his eyes shining. Besides, the moment the golden door opened, dark skeleton monsters rushed out. Shu Liang turned pale with fright and wet his pants. You said there is another skill book. Where is it? Qinzi's interested voice came from behind the dark skeleton monster. Here, I don't know where he is. Shu Liang was extremely frightened. He wanted to make some nonsense, but if Qinzi dragged him to find it, he would definitely die. So, he turned around and ran away. Roar, he roared like a beast, showing the explosive power of a tiger. The running speed is extremely fast. Rise. Qinzi stretched out his hand and lifted it up, and a wall made of vertebrae rose in front of Shu Liang. Densely packed skeleton arms stretched out from it, like countless resentful souls, frantically grabbing at Shu Liang. Shu Liang was so frightened that he hit his head directly on the wall of his spine, causing his head to buzz. Countless skeleton arms grabbed his body, some pinched directly into the flesh, while others grabbed the wrists and ankles and fixed them to the wall of the spine in a large shape. Shu Liang struggled wildly, but to no avail. 2 fists are no match for 4 hands, and there are too many skeletal hands on this wall of bones. Fine pieces of flesh and blood were sprinkled like snowflakes. Shu Liang was left with only skeletons amid his screams, and then melted into the wall of bones. Congratulations, you killed a professional tiger man and gained experience, 2000. Spine Fence. Necromantic Spell. HP. 500,000. Introduction. A wall made of bones and spines, equipped with the same number of skeleton arms, blocks all passing enemies, and captures surrounding creatures, causing effects such as confinement, restraint, and magic ban, while causing 1000 points of tearing per second. Damage. The enemy's flesh and blood will restore the spine wall's blood volume, and the enemy's bones will strengthen the spine wall's defense. Duration. Permanent natural death mana consumption, 8000. What a tragedy. As the initiator, I feel quite miserable. The dark skeleton monster Gada dispersed. Qinzi walked up from behind, looked at the spine wall stained red with blood, and couldn't help but shake his head. The summoner of the undead is a profession between life and death. He can communicate with the world of the dead and use the power of the dead. It is a profession that is despised by all living people. Qinzi gradually understood these things. He is moving from the surface into the depths of this profession. Death is inherently a cruel thing. And I don't mind spreading death. The undead crows disappeared in circles in the sky. Qinzi strode forward, and the Queen of Darkness followed closely behind him. At the same time, there was a dark skeleton monster following, carrying a catwoman on its shoulder blades. Because her transformation into a beast was so severe, she could barely see any human traces. There were many closed doors on both sides of the corridor, and roars and the sound of heavy objects colliding could be heard from time to time. When passing by, Qinzi was curious about what was inside. Now I can finally take a look. So, he stood in front of a closed door, reached out and knocked on the door. Who? There was an impatient voice in the room. Takeaway. What? The people in the house were stunned for a moment, and then there was the sound of walking. Squeak. The door opens. A man with a head resembling a maned dog appears. He was stunned when he saw Qinzi and the Queen of Darkness outside. She looks quite unique. Qinzi couldn't hold himself any longer. Is there anyone who can be a little anus digger? Or is it that the transformation into beasts in the Jalan organization is random? The Queen of Darkness raised her longbow and shot an arrow. The maned dog man leaned back and then lay straight on the ground. Congratulations, you killed a maned dog and gained experience, 300. The dark skeleton monster crawled out, then smelled the human scent and left. Dark skeleton +1. It turns out that these closed doors are just dormitories. What did I think? Qinzi knocked on the door several times and gave some warmth to Jalan organization. After seeing the dark skeleton monsters running all over the aisle, he stopped. The dark skeleton monster breaks into the door, and the effect is the same. I just heard that the top leaders of Jalan organization are here. Maybe it's time to meet them. As the saying goes, to capture the thief first, capture the king. Once all the top officials are killed, the Jalan organization will stop making trouble. Such a large formation naturally alarmed everyone. Stop, otherwise you will regret it. The strong man like an iron tower walked out slowly, his arms were very long and drooped on the ground. Gorilla, is this Jalan organization running a human zoo? When the strong man from the iron tower saw Qinzi ignoring him, he immediately roared angrily. He suddenly jumped into the air, brought his hands together, and smashed down hard. The Queen of Darkness slowly raised the Queen's long bow, then pulled out the bowstring, charged up for a second, and shot out suddenly. -129,483, infected with dark power. The strong man from the iron tower groaned, and then fell to the ground hard. Congratulations, you killed a professional gorilla and gained experience, 3,000. Immediately afterwards, a dark skeleton with strong bones crawled out, hanging by its two arms and disappeared into the darkness. Dark skeleton +1, 3,000 experience points, a little stronger than Shu Liang. Where are the top leaders of Jalan organization? They didn't get the news and ran away, right? That's not right either. The dark skull has no relevant feedback. Where are these high-level officials hiding? Qinzi frowned slightly and turned to look at the aisle full of dark skeleton monsters. This place has been filled with dark skeleton monsters. All kinds of corners have been searched. Not only were the so-called high-level officials not found, there was not even a single piece of equipment or props. To be honest, the Jalan organization is an underground trading organization, also commonly known as the black market. There is not a single piece of equipment or props, which is unreasonable. Unless, this is just a point. The Jalan organization is really cautious. They did not conduct transactions at the headquarters, but instead set up a painless branch. However, it's not a loss if I get this powerful skill. At this time, feedback suddenly came from the dark skeleton monster. There is a very strange room. Qinzi's heart moved and he immediately walked over with the Queen of Darkness. Pushing open the door, 3 holographic lights and shadows stood in 3 directions of the room. Qinzi, it's also high-tech. Undead summoner, you have inherited the true undead system. I hope this is the end of this for us. There was a holographic light and shadow with a black bear face in the middle, looking at him with complex eyes. The other 2 Jalan executives also remained silent. Okay, that's what I meant. Qinzi nodded. If I want to continue trading with you, where should I go? Jalan senior management. They glanced at Qinzi and turned off their holographic images. How rude. It actually went offline immediately. The entire liaison room has become empty. The holographic device also began to emit sparks and smoke, and eventually broke with a loud bang. Leaving nothing behind, the level of stinginess is beyond imagination. Forget it, go out and get a set of level 20 equipment, then enter the Twilight Plains and kill General Black Sun. It would be great if we could get another disease skill book, which would be able to fight against the ancient diseases of the Holy Royal family. When it comes to the attainments of disease curse, the undead mage is the best, and the professional counterpart is the best. The skill book is equivalent to knowledge. Let's go out, there's nothing else here. As you command, my lord. The Queen of Darkness walked out of the room first, stretched out her long nailed fingers, and then a little bit in the darkness. The space began to twist, and the passage was built. Qinzi stepped into the twisted darkness and saw the familiar staircase in the blink of an eye. As well as Mayor Tang Zhu, there is also a beautiful lady wearing over-the-knee boots. Bai Di, occupation, wind swordsman, level, LV.45. Level 45, swift wind swordsman, no wonder it feels so elegant. However, if the other party can stand with Tang Zhu, it means that she is an official person. And it's from the Central District. After Qinzi was stunned for a moment, he smiled at Tang Zhu and said, Mayor, why are you waiting for me here? Why don't you just call me? I called you, but my phone was always turned off. Also, the Jolin organization is an officially recognized terrorist organization. Doing business with them is extremely risky. We have received more than one report. Someone believed the lies of members of the Jolin organization at the Black Abyss connection, and as a result, their money was robbed. Even the waste was not saved, one was picked off. Tang Zhu said excitedly, it's indeed dangerous. Qinzi nodded with understanding. At this time, the woman named Bai Di looked Qinzi up and down, and then said with interest. You can come out of the Jolin organization intact, and you are only level 22. Your strength is indeed very good. Let's get acquainted formally. My name is Bai Di, the official commissioner of the Central District. This time I went to Mansion City to deal with the main dungeon issue. When I passed by Linhai City and saw black lightning in the sky, I realized something was wrong. Don't worry, I'm here, and the people from Li's headquarters won't do anything to you. She said, then stretched out her right hand. Qinzi stretched out his hand to shake her hand, and then briefly introduced himself. I'm about to enter the nightmare level main dungeon. Now I'm short of an undead skill book and a level 20 mage suit. As you know, the Li family hates me so much that it's basically impossible for them to have equipment and skills on their side. I bought it, but there are no other channels in Linhai City. Mr. Beatty, do you think you have any channels over there? Of course, I will buy it with money. When Qinzi said the last sentence, he was very sure and natural. Our officials should provide this little help. Tang Zhu nodded directly and agreed. Even if Bai Di didn't help, she could still apply to the Central District, and it would be approved 100% of the time, but she had to go through the process, which would take several months. Qinzi, you don't have a mentor yet, right? What do you think of me? Bai Di did not answer, but looked at Qinzi with a smile. Level 45, watch me snap my fingers for a moment. Well, it is indeed difficult to level up. As long as you can reach level 40, you will be a mainstay in the Dragon Kingdom. The most important thing is that Beatty is equivalent to the through train in the Central District. As long as he obtains the qualification to go to the Central District, he can go directly. If there is no such relationship, then he has to apply for the procedure. How many months will it take to get down? Teacher, please pay homage to your disciple. This time Bai Di couldn't be punished, Qinzi was so straightforward. Suddenly, the darkness behind him began to twist. The gorgeous Queen of Darkness walked out. Seeing so many people outside, her scarlet eyes suddenly froze. Hero level summons. Bai Di looked shocked, and then showed a look of sudden realization. No wonder you can clear the nightmare level dungeon. The hero level summons of the undead system are stronger than other summoning professions. If combined with secondary skills for auxiliary bonuses, the intensity will be unimaginably high. Accept your tutor application. I will occasionally issue some tutor tasks with generous rewards. I will also help you with the undead disease skill book you mentioned and a set of diamond level 20 equipment. Beatty applied to be your mentor, please accept it. Whether. When Qinzi clicked yes, he suddenly stopped and asked. Want money? Of course, it's free. It's normal for instructors to give students some resources. Bai Di laughed and patted Qinzi vigorously on the shoulder. Come on, boy. Qinzi asked again. If someone provokes me, can I do it? Of course, tutors also have the responsibility to protect students. As long as they are professionals around level 45, I can help you stop them. If they are professionals with a higher level, I will apply for official protection from the Central District. So, young man, don't limit yourself. Just go ahead and do it. There are better things waiting for you in the future. Baidi put his hands on his hips, full of pride. After hearing this, Qinzi nodded without hesitation. Congratulations, you have become a student of Instructor Baidi. Mentor's task: dealing with the mainline dungeon crisis in Mansion City. Thank you, Mentor. I usually don't cause trouble, and I'm very law-abiding and keep my integrity. Qinzi said sincerely. Okay, with this kind of relationship, I don't think anyone would dare to touch you. This way I can go to Mansion City to deal with the crisis. The level of the main dungeon there is higher, between level 30 and 55. If you finish it here quickly, you can come and have a look. I will take you to clear some main dungeons. It will be good for you to go to the Central District in the future. Baidi nodded and began to plan Qinzi's future route. Okay, Mentor. At this time, the rattling sound of bones colliding was heard. A dark skeleton carried Catwoman and walked out of the darkness. When it saw countless eyes directed at it, it immediately froze in place. Little skeleton, still afraid of society. This is my teammate who accidentally entered the Jalan organization. I rescued her. But it seems that some accident happened. I hope I can get treatment. Qinzi pointed at Catwoman and said. No problem. Tang Zhu agreed readily. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. After Qinzi left, Emperor Bai was full of praise for him. Not only does it have hero-level summons, but it also considers teammates, has strength and good character. It's really a very good seedling. Future achievements are limitless. Sir Baidi, I will leave it to you to clean up the Jalan organization this time. No problem. Baidi smiled and nodded, then strode into the space vortex. Rattling, densely packed black skeletons filled the aisle, all with empty eye sockets looking back at her. Baidi's smile suddenly became stiff. Something's wrong. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.